Do your summer plans include travel? Make sure your prep includes more.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Been a rough start.
That was like watching a guy trying to figure out a Rubik's Cube.
Well, I just
No,
That
it
was
was relatable.
incredible.
So I only wear buds.
Yes, you do.
You guys wear headphones. Is that what they still call them as headphones?
I think
Yes,
so.
they still call them headphones.
So
It's still what the kids are
I
calling them.
pulled them out of my bag, and for the last 5 minutes, I've been sitting here trying to untangle it. And the show started. I'm like, damn, this is going to be forever.
Well, I gave you a big compliment yesterday when I said your backpack was incredibly organized, and then
Well, I threw
then
the
it tangles up your earbuds.
I threw the earbuds in the bottom of the bag, and they got all tangled. And so I tried to pull them out, and so I'm sitting here, and my fat fingers are trying to pull them apart, and the music is playing. I'm like, all right, maybe by 6:30 we'll get this figured out. I have new buds too.
Do you have new buds?
Yeah, so they're stereo buds.
Oh wow.
I mean, I'm gonna lose my hearing because of
Right,
being on
everyone.
radio.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of why I do the one flap thing.
Yeah.
Also, too, I do the one
That's fair.
flap thing because I think it looks cool. So
not really.
That checks
we're
out.
just kind of going with the look good, play good, feel good, pay good. type
Yeah,
deal.
I don't know. I don't know if that's working.
Yeah.
But I do what you do for play by play.
With
Because
the
people will always ask, not having the cans on, having just one
Right.
ear.
yeah,
And some
Yeah,
people like
it's
that. and
it's just
prefer it.
it's a lot better.
I just feel like I can hear you better when I have one ear pointed at it. Is why I do it. But then people are like, "Oh, you're saving your hearing." I wasn't even thinking about that. There are a lot of things that I'm oblivious to.
Yeah, some people
It's
they should do
relatable.
a study
Yeah.
about people that are in radio and losing their hearing.
There are
I used to be the worst. I used to have, I think, the worst hearing. Just judging off,
sure.
we used to have a console that you crank up the volume,
Okay.
and I would like kill Nick Baugh because I like it loud.
Right.
I mean, because
Yeah, you
I
got
think-
to hear.
I think if it's loud, then I
Yeah.
talk normal. And he would always come in and he'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like it took him about a week to figure out. Okay, I got to come in and immediately turn that down. But I imagine
Everybody
there are
here.
more people. Like, why don't we have
Oh,
like hearing loss companies that are geared more towards radio people,
Endorsements.
like endorsements?
that is a
Like
good point.
I am in radio.
I'm
we,
deaf.
We plug in to a jack and we crank up the volume so we can hear. And then when you crank up the volume, it changes your
Do you
voice. And
really?
the next thing you know, coming up at 8 o'clock today on 1620 The Zone, we got a big announcement. It's going to make all of you very, very happy. You know, like your voice changes when you turn up the volume of your the little console.
You go into radio voice.
Do you want the "In the Arms of an Angel" and then it's just radio guys in hearing?
That makes me think of animals that are sad.
Well, that just makes me think of just very sad commercials whenever I hear that. Whenever I heard that growing up.
Damn it! What are we selling?
No,
what are we asking money for?
I'd be watching SNL, and all of a sudden that song would come on. And immediately, I'd flip my head to the TV, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, who's in trouble?"
Well, welcome in everybody. It is Gary and Matt with Jimmy on a Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody! Welcome. We are all day tours.
Yes, we are.
You know what? There are some people that will tell you that you go out there and you sprint down a hill and you take out all the cows. Okay, so you got a lot of beef, and you do that right away. Those are day oneers. You know what day tours do? Day tours survey the situation because there might be a cow that might not be good for beef.
Sure.
And so you stand up on the hill while the others are just sprinting down there and willy-nilly just killing cows. And you stand on the hill and you're like, you know what? That cow over there looks good. That could feed an army. And then that's the cow you go after because on day tours, you're able to survey the situation and you're a little bit more selective. Now, there might not be as many cows, but I'm telling you, it's okay to be a day tour. And in this town, when it comes to the NBA draft, we are day tours.
Or thanks to you, you got me thinking of Mark Tatum shaking hands with a cow. I'm okay with that. Okay.
I think cows are making a comeback.
Yeah. Shout out cows.
After Matt Rule took a picture with one of them.
That was a steer.
Okay. Connor Happer was adamant that it was a cow, and he kept saying cow over and over and over again. And I was like, if he had Gary over there,
that's a dog.
Tell him it was a steer.
Hey, he's a city boy. City boys do not know the difference between a cow and a steer.
Yeah. What is the difference between I'm actually curious. I'm actually curious.
I got things that grow on them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One stands, one sits.
I was gonna say, that was a great soliloquy by you. And
one also like I don't. Well, hold on here. I was gonna say one has a very popular fast food restaurant that it's attached to, but
Chick-fil-A.
Another one. I mean, we'll go steer / Longhorn has its own steakhouse.
Oh yeah, bump steer.
Okay. Still, they just look different now in my head. There's no
you could tell the difference between a cow, like a dairy cow.
Oh my God! Yeah. No. I'm city boy, but I'm not like completely blind to like what goes on and what animals
I
look
can
like.
see because cows are not really.
He's
popular.
up to date on cows.
Cows are not really popular at a zoo. Why don't we have cows at zoos?
Well, they're kind of domesticated, aren't they?
Cows?
No. I mean, they're kept in some of them at least are kept in fences.
That's the case. We should get a cow
farm.
here.
And you can go to a farm and see cows whenever you want. I think isn't the zoo for like more rare animals that you can't just see?
So now
out
you
in the
discriminate
wild?
Against animals?
Well, no, I'm not discriminating against anything.
Well, not you, the zoo.
No, maybe maybe here we see stuff that you might see in Africa. So you think in Africa at their zoos they have cows?
Oh, good point. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe potentially that's a good way of looking at it. I just think that zoo,
there
there's
is
probably
a
a line of rarity that you need to have in order to be at a zoo. I don't think a cow that you can just kind of pass on a road every once in a while.
You don't think if they offered up a nice little Holstein to the Henry Doorly Zoo, they would say, we're good?
I think they probably.
What was that? Was that a cow or a bull that was pooping out of a window a couple years ago?
Whoa.
Oh yeah. That was. Yeah, you remember the guy who had the cow in the car?
Oh, that.
Or maybe it was a bull. I don't remember.
Okay, so that was a bull, and that guy tried to get him on for an interview.
I remember.
He drives around and he has a bull in the back of his car.
What's his car?
It's a regular,
like a Honda Sienna.
It's a regular car.
Yeah, it's like a Camry. Honda Sienna.
Why?
Or no, that's a truck or an SUV. No, it's a car. It's like a regular four-door car. Regular old, your first car in high school. Dodge Neon.
What's the appeal? What's the bit? Is that the bit?
The car or the cow? That is the bit. It's just a cow.
Does he have followers? Does he post it on TikTok?
No, the bull is named Howdy Doody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a full-size bull that
I'm surprised you didn't hear about this because it was Columbus.
The bull rides shotgun with this gentleman from Norfolk.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Google it. No, seriously, there was pictures. The thing was crapping on the car.
Well, he got pulled over.
Okay.
So the guy was driving on eastbound 275 up in northeast Nebraska, and because when you're driving down the road in this gigantic, it's a Watsasui bull.
Yeah.
Like it's a
you're gonna have questions.
Bull was riding in the passenger seat, and this guy owns it. It's Howdy Doody. He takes it around to parades and stuff, but he doesn't have like a trailer. Instead, he carved out the side of his car so the bull,
I know, ain't it something?
Howdy Doody could be in it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know if Howdy Doody is.
Howdy Doody looks fake, and then he blinks, and then it's like that thing is
no,
real.
No, it's real.
No,
This isn't the panda
God.
thing again.
It's real. This is about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was here. So, yeah, it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were pulling my leg when you told me about it.
I'm looking at the police officer right now who is just absolutely befuddled.
Sir, do you know you have an animal in your
if
front
you're
seat?
sitting at the 9/11 shop and
Howdy
somebody
Doody
calls
pulls
in,
up?
somebody calls in and they're like, there is a vehicle with a cow inside. Now, maybe in that part of the state, because you have a little bit of rural area, people are like, that makes sense. Oh, you know who that is? That's Craig. You probably take that call and then turn it out to the police, and they're like, okay.
I nearly threw up when I saw all the crap on the back of the car.
Literally, I know. Isn't that something?
Lord.
I bet the car didn't smell good.
You
Probably
couldn't
some
get this
detail.
guy on? Why didn't this guy want to come on and talk about it?
I don't know. Lee had, so his name is Lee. He's from Neely, which is, I don't know, about 40 miles outside of Norfolk.
Yeah.
He said that he was busy.
Driving around a bull.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he called you in while he was driving the bull on the phone?
Or if he brought it here?
Well, and to be honest, this gentleman, very nice guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he bought this animal when it was like young, like 5 to 6 months old when he bought it.
Sure.
And it is his best friend.
Yeah.
So he has he at the time he owned a white Ford Crown Victoria, and then he removed half the windshield and roof so that he could take Howdy Doody with him, and then he would take him to parades around the state.
Have you seen those TikToks where, and I haven't seen the TikToks, but I've seen the YouTube shorts, so I'm just assuming that if I've seen the YouTube shorts, you've seen the TikToks, that there are people who find animals and they think it's one thing, and yet they turn out to be another thing, and then yet, instead of like giving them away or putting them in the wild, or giving them to a zoo, they decide to raise a Black Panther. Or there's this other family that they found
a Black Panther.
They found a dog, or at least they thought it was a dog, and then they ended up raising it. It got bigger and bigger.
Cookie puppy
ended up being a full-on wolf.
That's a wolf,
and like just not even close to it being a dog. Like it was just a wolf.
Oh, I know where you're
And
going.
they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna raise it."
It's
and then the wolf causes a lot of problems around the place.
Well, you tried to get a penguin.
Yeah.
So that's the same.
Well, I think
concepts.
that's a little bit different. I don't know if you can really mimic.
He wouldn't be able to leave his AC off if he had a penguin.
Different because it's so expensive. I didn't realize I eat that much.
Did you? What was
turn down your AC to 50 and it'd be.
Is it Dr. Doolittle? Isn't he?
Talk to animals.
Yeah. There was a whole movie about him with penguins.
So maybe we'll revisit. We'll try and get the owner of Howdy Doody back on.
I have a lot of questions. They'd be great. How great would it have been if Howdy Doody was the bull that Nebraska football brought in?
How about that?
That'd be a full circle moment.
Tie it together. Well done. Good job.
Long-term storytelling.
Our boys growing up.
So you're saying possibly if Nebraska brought in a steer that was from outside of Nebraska, that's a bad look?
No, it's not a good look, just as long as it's the best possible bull with the biggest horns that gives them the best opportunity to beat Ohio State.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, get the best cow out there.
You draft the best cow available.
5-star steer.
Hey, so we are that comment right there just shows us how desperate we are for college football. Like we've hit post-college World Series.
June 26th.
We got either when college football kicks in, where you're like, okay, here we go, is either when Phil Steele shows up
soon,
and a lot of you are getting the Phil Steele magazine.
I know.
Right now, July 4th, it comes out in your favorite Barnes and Noble. What if that manager is still at the Barnes and Noble over by Oakville?
44th, yeah.
He was like, I walked in there and I was like, hey, do you guys have the Phil Steele magazine yet? And he goes, oh, one of you.
You're anti-sports. You're anti-ball.
Yeah, you know what?
In Nebraska?
Hey, we're keeping you in business.
That is...
No, literally.
That's rude.
It's the only time I go
there.
there.
It was extremely rude.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're one of those. Well, you know what? Maybe because the guy that puts out the magazine promotes your store and it comes out on July 4th and people like to come in and purchase it, maybe you should be more accommodating and say it's right over there. We have a full stack instead of, oh, you're one of those.
Thank you. Buy 8.
What are people reading these days anyways? That
Twitter.
has to, that makes me so uninterested.
Doom scrolling?
Yeah.
Dude.
Boy, my For You page yesterday. You know what? Okay.
Did you get weird stuff too? Because I was getting some weird stuff.
I always get weird stuff.
I got a lot of Iranian and Israeli and stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Stuff that was not in English.
No, a ton of it that
you
wasn't
too,
in English.
But I was searching though because I'm going to get to this about the NBA draft last night.
Sure.
But so we're like in that we all go through this dread of, now it's post-college World Series.
Major League Matt.
Either college football kicks in when the magazine shows up or media days or that first list. Yeah. So you got about 2 weeks here where you should just stay in the dark and not do anything.
Take a break.
Because sports are And you know what? Last night I realized watching that just trash on ESPN.
Thank you, because that's what it was. And it drug on top of it.
I like football way too much. Because the NBA draft, for the first time in my lifetime, I pulled the cord.
Same.
I couldn't watch any more of the coverage. Now, I was humored by a comp that was given, he's the Israeli D'Angelo Russell.
That Kendrick
and I'm like,
Perkins.
okay, now I'm here for that. No, I think Kendrick Perkins has turned into Tracy Morgan. There are some SNL skits that are spot on of Kendrick Perkins.
Yes.
But it showed me last night that I like football too much because the NFL draft, and then I watched the NBA draft. The NBA draft is so flat, and then you throw in
you want to pull the plug on the NFL draft.
You throw in people that have not watched some of these guys play,
exactly.
And there's no shot that any of them watched any foreign players play. And I was like, you know what, this is just nauseating because I had the double screen going. Well, I had triple screen last night because I had the Royals, the Cubs, and then the NBA draft, and I went from ESPN to ABC, which was a mistake.
That's what we said. One second.
I felt for Bob Myers, but I was like, you know what? I like football too much. I do like the NBA. I do like the draft. I know a lot of these guys. It's kind of cool to see it. But ESPN, your media partner, has ruined the sport for me.
Yep.
It's terrible.
And so I said, I'm out. I will follow on Twitter, and I will follow guys like Tom Crean. Tom Crean is really good.
Knows basketball.
When it comes to the NBA draft.
Watched basketball.
At one point, I was just thinking, let's just put Jay Billis up here and just get a one shot on him and let him talk about these guys.
Switch Bob Myers with Perkins.
No. I like Bob Myers. I think
I said put Bob Myers with Jay Billis.
ESPN with Jay Billis.
Yeah, I'll listen to those two talk ball.
Bob Myers, Jay Billis, and Bobby Marks would have been a good crew to have.
Yes, that would have been the perfect. Well, you get the best of both worlds, right? Of all worlds, you get the college guy, you get the two former GMs, but one of them who's like the salary cap wizard that can explain, hey, why are these trades happening or whatever. We got to an hour and a half in the draft, and they just decided, okay, we're just going to turn this into Oscar red carpet.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about. There was barely any basketball
after Minnesota at 17. I was like, "F this! I'm going to bed."
The NBA is a mess. Yeah. The NBA is an absolute mess, and a lot of it has to do with their media partner and also how they present the product. There is no reason why there is a day 2 of the NBA draft.
It makes zero sense.
Okay, it's excruciating that the first round takes 3.5 hours.
It felt like 6.
Again, it is so flat compared to the NFL. And think about this. We just ended the NBA season, and it's 3 days later we're having the NBA draft. The NFL, I mean, this would be like the NFL having their draft, in the middle of February?
Yeah.
Okay, so there'd be some people be out of business because they lose all that draft content. But it just, like last night I'd had enough. The tragedy porn started again. The misidentifying. Colin Cowherd got drafted.
How about that?
To Portland. Good for Colin.
Yeah, we were just talking about him. Right? Radio to basketball. Hell yes.
I mean, if we're talking about full circle, right? I mean, to go all the way back to Portland for Cowherd. What a moment.
That's great.
But the NBA is a mess. And this is what their media partner and the NBA.
Remember when TNT used to do it and the great guys they used to have on the panel?
Well, you can have a great panel.
Yeah.
You just can't have somebody who's better in the morning hollering at me, and I don't want him hollering at me at night.
Oh, I didn't.
You know what? ESPN, outside of their live game coverage,
Legler.
when the game is playing, when games are going on, they don't do the simple stuff well.
Yeah.
And that is really, really a bad look because I'm here also to tell you, not every black guy looks the same, and Cooper Flagg is not black. That's
just here first.
That's just my little tip to a director who wanted you to believe that Cooper Flagg actually was Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey.
Crazy. Well, that and then Malika Andrews and Monica McNutt for the last, from I would say probably pick 18 to 30, were just, this is a great moment for the family.
This
is a great moment for the family.
That's why I went to bed.
You're never going to forget it. You know, everything that they've done, everything that they work for. What a moment.
See that emotion. See those tears. They just got rich.
I know he's in his own company, but I need Bill Simmons telling me that Mo Bamba isn't going to work out. You know, Like that's what I need. Like I need
how every guy could project to the Celtics.
I need a guy, I need a former NBA player who's going to tell you, oh my God, I love this guy's athleticism. I love what he's going to do. I think he's going to be a superstar. And then I need like Bill Simmons being like, well, analytically, and if we look at this, the shot creation just isn't there. And it's just, I don't think this is going to, like, I need guys debating.
Give me ball knowers.
Guys, women and men debating whether or not they like certain prospects, if they don't like certain prospects, if this works for the team, if it doesn't work for the team. I don't need every pick being, oh, this is incredible. This is great.
They're happy.
This is a new future.
No kidding.
There's no character anymore.
Do you want rants? Do you want Mel Kiper Jr. crapping on teams? I mean, I think the NBA, the ESPN with the NBA always is pretty positive. Like, I know it's the end of the night, and boy, once they got past, like, the only thing that I think kept a couple of them going was Liam McNeely, because they should have crushed who the Clippers took at 30.
Yeah,
that is
I saw
one
that
of the
this
biggest
morning.
reaches to grab the kid from Penn State.
Those are the Clippers we knew.
I mean, hello. And they were like, oh, you know what? Kind of cool. He was a mid-major guy at one point. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 7.
They drafted Michael Olowokandi.
During my team's pick at number 12, they decided, all right, this is a perfect opportunity to run 5 minutes worth of commercials.
I saw that. Yeah.
Well,
did you like your pick? I liked your pick. It's a project, but he could be good.
It's a project, so I don't know who he is, so I don't really have a leg to be like, I hate it. This is what Arturis does, though. He loves the projects, even dating back to Denver. I kind of respect it because at 12, you're not going to get like a proven product that really could be a superstar unless you take a risk. So
the Spurs might have taken him at 14.
Yeah, so. I'm okay with
it. You passed on
Queen.
So
I wanted Derek Queen more than anything. And
settle for Derek
This
Queen.
is now 2 times in a row where I really wanted a prospect for one of my teams, and they just both passed on it. Shout out Tyler Warren. But I knew way more about that. Here's the thing, though. I know way more about that draft, and I'm way more interested about that draft. And I subscribe to a newsletter about that draft and read like scouting reports about that draft. This draft, I'm kind of like, yeah, I saw Liam McNeely drop 40. That was cool, and like I know that Jace Richardson's a little young and he was on a really good Michigan skate team. I know, but I don't really like. I'm not living and dying. The only thing that was interesting to me was Ace Bailey, and that was done half an hour into the whole thing.
Jimmy, prepare yourself because you're in a great spot.
Oh, thank you.
Your young core and getting Dylan Harper. I'm just going to make you feel really good about your basketball team there in Chicago.
Go ahead.
Do you know that 2 years ago there were 2 teams that had exactly the same record in the NBA at 40 and 42?
Oh, I know where you're going.
City Thunder
and the Chicago Bulls. Do you know in the same year who was 35 and 47?
The Indiana Pacers.
The Indiana Pacers.
We've had 7 different champions in 7 years, so what he's saying is get ready for number 7.
I loved the Giddy trade. From the moment it happened.
Underage people did.
We needed we don't have to talk about that. But that was, we needed a high upside guy, and Alex Caruso was a piece where it's like, you're not going to win with him unless you're contending, and we were not contending. Kobe White has been one of the most frustrating human beings to watch develop into a good basketball player because it's taken so damn long for him to do it, but he's done it. We just need, more of a big man presence and, more spacing. I like it. Look, when you draft a European prospect with somehow these European prospects have been going, you have my attention. You have my full attention. I just need Pat Williams to average more than 11 points this year. That's all I need. I need him to actually show progress.
It is
your team at least the Miami Heat should feel incredible about their draft pick. I think they made the best pick in the night. I wouldn't use the
word incredible, but because we're not done. But the Beam team getting Nick Clifford's going to be a nice fit in Sacramento.
Can't believe dropped that far.
We're not done in Miami, so I like the pick. I like the addition. I think his game will transition pretty well to the NBA. And we have a young core, but they're not done, so I'm not ready yet.
I think his game will translate almost as good as anyone else's in that draft. I think when you're watching him play, because Sparks Yakuchonis is who we're talking about. When he was playing in Illinois, you could kind of see that Boswell was the college player and he was definitely the NBA prospect. And there were just moments where I kind of found it with Queen as well, where it just seemed like they were trying to do too much. And like you're watching it, and you're like, that would work at the pros, but it's not going to work in kind of this base offense that you're running in college. I loved your pick. I think VJ Edgecombe, I'm still going to stand by that. I don't know if he's really going to work out in Charlotte. And also too, Jeremiah Fears is another guy that went really, really high that I'm not too high on. That those would probably be the two if you're pegging. Hey, I don't know if this is going to pan out just because both really good athletes, but inefficient from three.
Maybe should have stayed another year in school. I get why they leave, but you getting that NIL,
when you're
a lottery pick.
Yeah, you don't.
No.
You stay.
You were.
You go to the NBA.
You knew you were a lottery pick during the season.
Well, and that's the only thing I ever says. Like they must know that they're a lottery pick because you're one big injury.
NIL is helping college basketball because more guys stayed in college basketball. Now, if you're a lottery guy, you jumped. Oh, that's a no-brainer. But I think more depth, like the second round actually might not be bad today. Like a Kalkbrenner and Cam Jones right away off the board. But it just. The back end of the first round, because more guys stayed in college, I think became just a major crapshoot. We'll talk more about the NBA because, of course, nobody locally went. Ryan Kalkbrenner probably will be one of the first up. Boston drafts at 32. He's still in my window, 28-32. But then Boston went with a guy named Hugo, and the Suns traded their pick, and I don't know what the hell the Suns are doing.
Right away, you knew the Suns were out. I mean, they just went ahead and they established.
They actually deflated my balloon.
Actually, it would make sense, though, if the Suns draft the Kalkbrenner because all they have is shooting guards and centers. I mean, that would make perfect sense.
Well, they got Robert Williams, too. So it's, I mean, I think they've gone ahead and addressed it, but I don't know. After the Brooklyn Nets drafted 4 guards yesterday with 4 first-round picks.
Well, it's crazy that they have 5 first-round picks.
I was listening to NBA people who are much smarter than I am, who said, yeah, they're not going to pick. They're not going to use all these picks. No one uses all these picks. You don't have 4 first-round picks, and then you just go ahead and use them.
Losing teams do losing things.
That's exactly what they did.
Kalkbrenner, Tanjay, Salas, Williams, Hepburn, all available on day tours. It's okay to be day tours as long as you get your desired location. That's what they say.
Wasn't Jokic a day tour?
That's what they told me.
He was a day tour. There have been some stellar players in day 2. Draymond Green,
Manu Ginobili.
Golden State built kind of their championship run with day tours.
Ginobili was the last pick of the second round.
I can't believe we call them day tours now.
Day tours.
They should just be second-round picks.
Day tours. Well, that's the NBA draft. They want to have an excruciating 3+ hours for 30 picks. Just draft and move on. We are not the NFL. The NFL can do 3 days. You should not do 3+ hours for your first round.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up at 8 o'clock, Sarah Baker Hansen stops by. Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards, all will be in today. That is the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. Plus, coming up at 8 o'clock, we have an announcement. Not about personnel, not about the station.
Yeah,
that's to come later.
We're still here.
But we have an announcement I think our listening audience will enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming up at 8 o'clock. So get giddy. Not Josh.
Right.
We'll announce something really, really cool for our listeners coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. And you can always join in if you liked your team's draft or you didn't even pay attention to the draft last night.
You don't give a damn about
which
the
is
draft.
perfectly fine because you were turned off by a guy that got a new contract and all of a sudden went sideways and just started screaming. You can join us on the Prairie Flower Casino hotline, 402-951-1620. Always into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Gary or Matt at 1620thezone.com. And Twitter, where we can play today with all of you at Gary Sharp 1620 at Matt McMedia. When we come back, we'll talk about what Kalkbrenner happens to him now. Reality or some say a steal. And why didn't he get drafted by Boston or the Clippers? The Clippers,
I
man.
know.
We're talking about the Clippers. That was a reach.
That should answer your question.
I have
although they're better now.
My roommate's a Creighton fan, and when Charlotte traded to 28 after getting rid of Robert Williams, I screamed, I go, hey, Kalkbrenner spot. This could be it. He could go here. And who went but Liam McNeely? And like right in front of his eyes.
I think that's going to be a good pickup.
I mean, I can't believe he fell that far. I mean, I understand that maybe his game isn't going to fully translate into the NBA, but when you got a shot creator or shot maker / shot creator like that, you don't let him fall that far.
All right, lots to discuss. We'll do it with all of you. We'll mix in, yes, the NBA and the NFL. Yeah.
Might be in trouble.
We'll do that. Plus, we're going to expand the NCAA tournament.
No.
Thank you, Fred. Fred stood up for 68. Fred's not a day tour. He's a 68er. I like you, Fred. I also love something he said yesterday. Loved something he said yesterday. that he's been listening to old Sharpie. I've been in Fred's ear.
Have you been?
Yes, and he said something yesterday that I was like, I know what you're doing. We're off and running. We got a little short. Baller shot caller. Wish I was a little bit taller.
When you have an electric short, just call it a Matt McMaster.
All right. Gary and Matt, it's 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in on a Thursday morning. Was that pretty abrupt there? I thought that was my mic that cut out.
No, my stuff's doing the thing your mic does. So yeah, it's
We're all cutting out. My mic's okay.
For
now.
We're day tours here. All right, everybody
tours.
embrace day tours.
Put 'em up.
Iowa JD says we're all like Shadur Sanders.
Well, he was a day 3-er.
Yeah.
He's not a day 2-er.
Yeah, get your facts straight, Iowa guy.
He's not a day 2-er like we're day 2ers.
You know what? None of us will be day 3ers when it comes to the NBA draft. I will say I will die on that hill. There was something that was said last night during the draft coverage because there were a lot of guys that you had on the edge of tears that I think Monica McNutt just did not go far enough. Like if you're going to get them crying,
you got to get them going
and praising God. Just get them to break down and just become a sobbing mess like they've broken up with their girlfriend.
Your childhood pet died 10 years ago. How did you feel that day?
With tragedy porn, you can't tease.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to finish the deal.
You got to come at it.
Yeah, you got to get it done.
I felt like we were on a red carpet for the last 2 hours of that.
Your grandparents tragically died in an accident.
There was nothing.
Now you're in the NBA.
Like once they got past the top prospects that they actually did their homework on, we were past basketball.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing: as I look at the NBA draft, and again, I speak from somebody that does like the NBA, and I like college basketball. So, I mean, I don't know a lot of the foreign guys, and I'm not going to sit here and break down foreign guys.
And where's Fran? Fran used to have a great breakdown.
Well, because Fran doesn't really include,
that's not on
they
Fran.
don't include him on their draft coverage, but he's on Twitter, and he did a really good job because he knows those guys.
Yeah.
We are so. The NFL has us. I was thinking this as I turned off the TV last night, is that I love football so much that I look at how every other sport presents itself in the lens of football. So explain this in football terms.
Sure.
So the NFL draft for the football, like look at the war rooms for NFL. They are incredible. Look at when they would go like to Brooklyn or Miami. Do you know, you guys don't because you never covered the Heat.
Sure.
And that's fair. Where the Heat had their tables set up, is in their basketball practice facility. It's on the court because I recognized some of the stuff on the wall. The NFL, you would never have that.
No.
So the NFL war rooms are much greater than the NBA draft rooms or whatever. And then in the NFL, look at the green room for the players. It's this amazing Lowe's showroom. In the NBA, it's like everybody's sitting around a plastic table that's got a nice tablecloth over it.
Family reunion.
They give them their own personal green rooms, essentially, in the NFL, where they give them their own couches. And
you had a
their
ball
own
last
areas.
night?
Yeah.
A golden ball.
They literally, and they have these beautiful decorations. They got these awesome flowers. Like it actually looks, being honest with you, I wouldn't mind going in the teens if I was in the NFL draft because the spread, from the buffet looks great. It looks very comfortable. I wouldn't mind, taking it in for a bit and then being like, all right, draft me.
Draft me to
You're
a good
just
team.
sitting there at a table. It's a gala. You're just at a gala in an arena for the NBA draft.
And you have, you're like, man, I wish David Stern was still the commissioner because then we'd have the handshake and just do the handshake and get it over with.
Well, and now
instead of the awkwardness of whatever you do with Adam Silver.
Bro.
Well, Adam Silver just goes, I'm so happy for you. And the prospect goes, oh, cool. And then let me get my wrong hat for the team that I'm not going to be playing for.
Yeah, that's another story we'll get to a little bit later. But something was said last night. I started to rank before I turned off the coverage. The Israeli D'Angelo Russell is number one.
Okay.
That is a comp. Okay, because I was here for the comps. Why
can't he just be D'Angelo Russell, by the way?
I wanted somebody to stop comparing Cooper Flagg to Karolinko and go, he's the next Scottie Pippen. And if you know what I'm getting at.
Sure.
Okay? So I wanted more comps. So that was my number one. And then number two, because I'm curious about this, because I've never been tall.
I'm with you on the comps.
So Danny Wolf, who have fun in Brooklyn.
Which,
by the way, big night for the Big Ten.
Massive night for the Big Ten.
That's what people are saying. Big Ten basketball is
Jace
back.
Richardson, Danny Wolf, Derek Queen,
8 guys.
Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper.
Yeah, 8 guys. Tanjay will get drafted, so there's at least 9.
Bryce Williams, maybe?
So Danny Wolf, his dad, as they were interviewing him, said nothing has come easy. Is that a true statement if you're a 7-footer? He said nothing has come easy. And I'm like, I would love to be tall early, but then I thought, you know what?
The awkwardness, though.
Yeah,
some guys are awkward.
when you are the tallest kid in your class,
small
as a young
beds.
kid.
Yeah.
Well, and there's growing pains. I'm sure there's like just
It's true though.
You're standing above the
stuff.
shower head. You know, it's hard to take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wrote that down because I'm like, come on, you're 7 foot. And then this morning I was like, there were a couple of guys that I grew up with that were always taller than everybody else, and so they stood out. And, because like people are like, oh, you're tall.
Well, how's
like
the weather up there?
Like they never said to the tall guy, you're funny. They always said it to the fat kid.
You're a tall drink of water.
They looked at me and they're like, oh, you're funny. They never looked at, and we had a guy named Steve who I don't know, he got in the portal at 8th grade and he went somewhere else and probably did well. They never said, oh, because you're tall, you're funny. So I could see that you would have some growing pains and wouldn't be easy. But when his dad said that and he reiterated, I'm like, come on, bro.
Well, he did go to Yale. He had to go to Yale first before he went to Michigan. Like he had to play really, really well in the Ivy League.
That's true. Yale's not easy.
Right.
Yeah, those classes are hard.
That is a great point, Jimmy.
And maybe that's what Dad
the academia involved in Danny Wolf's basketball career.
Math test at Yale.
Yeah, Ivy League schools have us tricked. Okay.
Are you here to tell us that you think that the classes at Ivy League schools are the same exact everywhere else?
They're glorified community colleges on the East Coast.
Okay, so I'm going to use a experience of some friends who have either gone to an Ivy League school or Stanford, or have a daughter that is currently at an Ivy League school. They will tell you that it is harder to get in than it is once you're there.
So this is I'm pretty sure Malcolm Gladwell did a study on this, that this is actually a thing, that this is like proven true, that a lot of people believe that it's not necessarily about what happens when you're in there. It's just like the barrier to get in there. Yeah. So that is a study. This is not one of your preposterous ideas where you want to put the state outline as the Jumbotron. This is like an actual, people have done really good research on this.
I think John Baylor is brilliant. Okay.
He is.
And JB went to Stanford. Okay. And he went to a prep school on the East Coast and then went to Stanford for college. And he told me that once he got to Stanford, the classes were pretty easy. And I said, is that because you're very smart? And he said, no, they were easy. So why is Nebraska not like that?
Nebraska is easy.
Why is it not hard to get in or easy to get into Nebraska, but hard once you get there?
It was it was kind of easy for both for me. If I'm being honest with you, I had pretty smooth sailing. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I thought college, to be honest, was a little bit tough.
I took a maybe.
Did you have fun? That's all that matters.
There is my dad was talking.
I had more fun off of a campus than I had on campus, I think.
But that's the point.
There definitely
still
is
had a good
scale nowadays, though, of how difficult academics were, a couple of decades ago compared to what they are now, because it seems like everybody gets 30s on their ACTs and everybody gets these high test scores. But if you ask people like a decade ago,
helping you. Test prep is helping you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well,
that's true. JB could have got me into Stanford just by taking
test prep is insane. I took multiple test prep classes, which
did it work?
Yeah,
because it was 50-50 when I was growing up. Some people said it worked, some people didn't.
I got a 13 the first time I took it. Didn't study.
What'd you do? Abacadabra?
No, because I got bored.
Yeah.
Again, my attention when I was that age, and it hurt me in school. I couldn't stay focused, and so I got bored. Like about an hour and a half in, and we just started filling out stuff.
That's why I did it twice, and the second time I was miserably hungover.
My dad looked at the.
No, I think I got an 18 the second time.
My dad looked over the scholarship requirements for the schools that I was applying. He goes, "If you don't get a 24, you ain't going to college, boy." I go, "All right, sounds good.
Go get him, son.
We're gonna go and do our very best. Get this Ruth Leverton, baby.
I'm behind you."
All right. So tonight, when the NBA draft begins at 7, will Stephen A. Smith they're just on ESPN tonight. So imagine Billis will be back.
There was a coverage on ABC. I was on ESPN.
That was Stephen A. Smith and Bob Myers.
Were they just yelling at each other the entire time? And Bob was trying to make some good points.
He was clearly frustrated, and it wasn't a bit. Like you could tell that he was clearly getting agitated with him. It was just
NBA TV seemed good. I wish we had it.
Sometimes
I should have just put on the Bill Simmons.
Sometimes you're overexposed. Well, I'll tell you, CBS Sports HQ was really, really good. And then Sirius XM has really good NBA draft coverage. In the morning, you get hollered at and you have debates. When we get to the nighttime, we don't need the same show in the morning being at night. And that's how he treated the NBA draft, because there was just so much hollering. There was just so much foolishness
That's why
that
we
was
love
being
big inning
mentioned.
at home.
And that's the story today. So again, this is why the NBA is a mess. We don't talk about
the prospects,
the play of the Thunder and Pacers. We talk about TV ratings and ESPN/ABC's coverage. Last night, we had 30 people that got to realize their dream of getting drafted in the NBA, and you have a guy that by the age of 32 could make $1 billion in Cooper Flagg, and Leave It to Beaver could be the face of the NBA. We're kind of talking about him, but I guarantee that most talk shows around the country, because it's a slow time of the year, and some that never talk about the NBA are talking about the NBA. But the only reason they're talking about the NBA is because of what happened with Stephen A. Smith and ESPN last night. Well, that's
for the wrong reasons.
The NBA, I know you got your money, and I know I've backed you up and said, hey, I know ratings, you got your money. But in this case, they tinkled all over your draft, okay?
You're killing your product.
Because the draft is one of their bigger things they do, because that is the door to next month when you have the Summer League, which has I think the Summer League is bigger than the NBA draft.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, big time.
It's huge.
Yeah. Well, we should be leaving talking about the prospects and the future of the teams.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about
now,
that.
also, to be fair, the NBA does it to themselves. They got to stop this damn charade about trades. And guys, the awkwardness of putting on a hat that's the team you're not going to play for.
Well,
and they got to get rid of this. We do it on our calendar, our business calendar, just because it's confusing.
Well,
and you got guys going all over the place. And last night, the NBA was trading players like to trade baseball cards.
Well, on top of that too is Adam Silver needs to acknowledge the existence of Shams Charania and all of the other insiders, because he goes up to the microphone and about 30 minutes after certain guys got traded, he announces the trade to the public. Like, we already know that happened, man. It's already been tweeted about. There's already articles written about it. You have your coverage team standing up talking about the implementation of that trade, and then you go up there and you go, I have a trade to announce. And everybody goes, oh my God. Okay, cool. What's the trade? And then he says it like, dude, that already happened.
LeBron James has been traded.
I think there's the logistics, because there's some of the things they have to work through from the NBA perspective, that when it's official,
that's when he said.
That's when they say.
Sure.
Yeah, he can't be acknowledging that Shams 2 minutes ago tweeted something out and go up there and acknowledge it.
But the process can't be a half hour of where you go up there and then the Barclays Center, Maluak,
I don't know.
got traded.
I think there's some legalities.
It used to take
so
I'm
not. I think they have to work through some things before they make it official. But the charade of giving a kid a hat of that's the team he's not going to be on.
Chris Webber with his Orlando Magic hat,
and then with his Doug McDermott.
Yeah.
Well, then they take that magical picture, that
ends up on Twitter
that he's going to have hung up for his entire life. That's probably going to be in his man cave, and it's of the team that decided to get rid of him.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much confusion about the draft. You don't know all the foreign players if you don't follow it regularly.
No,
you got guys wearing hats for teams they're not going to play for. You don't know if the trade. Well, it won't be official until July 6th. Well, what are we doing? Are they going to come to my city and have a press? Thank you, NFL. Thank you, NFL. Even thank you, Major League Baseball. Heck, even thank you, NHL. Your draft.
That's a good point.
And two of those sports, most people don't know the prospects.
One prospect, but they move through it quickly. They kind of go through. They go, hey, Pittsburgh picked up this guy. This is why Pittsburgh should be excited. This is who they passed up. Going on to Toronto. Toronto picks this guy. This is why you should be happy. This is why you should be mad. This is why it's a reach.
It's weird that you put on a hat of a team that you have a team that selects you, but is selecting for somebody else, but yet they give you that hat. And maybe that's why they don't ask him, hey, how do you feel about playing for the Rockets? Well, because you're not going to be playing for the Rockets.
Well, back in the day when the trades didn't happen right before the pick, you actually found out, they drafted the guy and then they traded him. You have kind of some iconic moments of Scotty's in a Seattle Supersonics hat, right? And that's a remembered thing. But when even before the pick is selected, that this team isn't picking this guy and they give him this, that's so stupid. It's so dumb.
The NFL makes it easy on you.
Well,
they make it, they want fans. I mean, I walked back into the room last night and I thought that the NBA had drafted some guy out of the crowd. Like it was just a random fan. Next thing I know, there's some 7'1" dude I've never seen or never heard of He's walking down the stairs.
He wasn't even announced before.
And then we're talking to his mother about the path he took to get here. You must be so proud of him.
You know what the path he took? We were in section 15, and he walked down the stairs onto the floor of the Barclays Center.
Monica McNutt had no idea. She thought he was an agent, and now he's sitting up here, and this is the mom. Hi, Mom. How are you? How do you feel?
Who will select Ryan Kalkbrenner tonight? We'll get into that when we come back. Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, and Brian Edwards all to join the show on a Thursday. Plus, we have a big announcement right before SBH at 8 o'clock that should make a lot of you pretty excited. Prepare yourself at 8 o'clock. We'll do that on Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Kind of like the SEC does their,
Well, like men's basketball, I think what they want to do is they want to make it like men's basketball. Jessica would like to do more Big Ten Plus stuff. So I think next year she's going to do all the baseball that is not. Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. Woof.
Well, and then her and Kyle. But I think all right, let's give some love to ESPN for their draft coverage last night. Joey says, holy smokes, ESPN, ABC, fire Stephen A. Dude, last night was annoying.
He should kind of be a special attraction, in my opinion. Like, I understand that you're paying him a lot
like
of money.
the bearded lady.
But
at
if you're paying him a lot of money and you're always throwing him in my face, I'm not going to like him.
Well,
like,
so it's pretty clear last night that he has not watched a lot of college basketball and certainly has not watched any of the foreign players. But clearly he is a valuable asset to ESPN because people watch. Okay, it's people do watch, and Stephen A. Smith gets people to talk about him.
People that hate him watch him more than people that like him.
And here's the thing: he's an entertainer. Literally. Okay, that's
the Stern principle.
Yeah, he's just an entertainer. What he says, I don't know if you take seriously or not, but he's an entertainer. He's a little overexposed, and
he is.
We have enough of him in the morning. I think when it comes to their main coverage of the NFL, the NBA, anything else, we don't need him at night.
Yeah.
He's good in the morning. Okay, leave him in the morning. People want something different at night.
Well,
because if they wanted the same at night, they would make sure that they watched in the morning. But here's also a thing, and he is very, very smart from this standpoint. So he kind of knows the industry, and who knows what the industry is going to look like. So that's why he keeps one toe in the political world. He also has become overexposed. He is everywhere, and he's in a competition with McAfee to be the face of ESPN. And so I'm sure that he says, "Hey, I'll do this, this, and this." And after a while, you get overexposed, and then people just stop tuning you out. But another thing I've noticed with him, once he got his new contract, he has gone off the rails.
He already was
I'm
the cock of
untouchable.
the walk, but now when you say
Invincible.
to Tyrese Halliburton, who is playing in the NBA Finals, far superior men have come after me, and they have missed. When you say that sentence on ESPN, that is a wild thing to say. And then you have
Hubie Brown
Jay
never said
Williams. Then you have Jay Williams, who's there with him, laughing with him and thinking it's funny and like encouraging that like type of behavior and that type of attitude. And honestly, adding fuel to the fire because now Stephen A. Smith thinks it's cool. He thinks it's cool.
It's like encouraging children.
He can walk over players. Oh, I'm better than players. The NBA draft should be an educational program.
I think
there should be an outlet for that.
You can't all of a sudden go from covering the NBA with an educational beat to all of a sudden taking the draft and do that. It's entertainment to the ESPN. I don't know what they think their audience wants.
You need an alternate option.
I don't think they have any idea. And also,
but they're also trying the NFL is more powerful than the NBA. Mm-hmm. If ESPN's coverage of because ESPN's getting a Super Bowl with Buck and Aikman. If ESPN covered the NFL main event like they covered the NBA Finals, the NFL would lose their mind.
Well, ESPN would no longer be in the NFL business.
No, they would.
Because the NFL holds all the cards. I think in this case, ESPN holds a lot of cards, and the NBA can say, hey, we didn't like, that's not Colin Cowherd that got drafted, please.
Yeah.
David Stern would not have let this happen.
Yeah, I think they've said, ESPN has a little bit more power with the NBA than they do with the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're actually saying, too, what the flaws of the prospects are. And we're actually saying why this might not be a good fit. And we also, too, the NFL does a great job of saying, all right, we're going to have 2 college guys who are our college experts. Mm-hmm. We're going to have 2 NFL guys who are NFL experts. And then we're going to have a guy in the middle like Kirk Herbstreit who kind of like folds the 2 together and is able to be like, all right, we'll take things from here. We'll take
or
things
even
from
just
here.
Your draft
like
gurus.
At the end of the night, at the end of the NFL draft, you walk out and everybody has an idea of like what teams improved, what teams might have done well, what teams might not have done well, whatever, right?
You're excited for day 2.
And exactly. And we all have opinions, and you go into day 2 being like, hey, my team needs to get a running back, and I really hope that they get this running back. Mm-hmm. That is 0 with the NBA draft. It's like your team took the prospect they took, and you either are like, all right, cool, I wanted them to take him, or you're like, man, I don't know who he is. And there's not an opinion. It's rarely a true negative opinion of like, this guy is going to work out. For me, it's just like most Bulls fans are like, just who the hell is this? We had our Tingus
Well,
Pingus
that's
moment.
also a little bit. Okay. So all of what you guys just said is true, and I agree with it. With the NBA luckily, we got an American. We got Leave It to Beaver that was drafted first overall. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a good nickname.
I want to go to his hometown.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
Fun?
That was a cool part. I'll give him credit for that. I enjoyed that.
I bet it's cold.
That was pretty dope.
a kid who lived up to the hype and exceeded it at Duke.
And he's likable.
And by the way, he's going to be, he doesn't turn 19 until December.
Crazy.
Must be nice.
And he's in Dallas. He's going to be they're going to be contenders right away.
Pulisic, just step aside, please, because we have a new Captain America and Cooper Flag.
Cooper's going to make friends.
I mean, Pulisic needs to beat more than Costa Rica to be Captain America.
But now we enter day number 2. Did you hear as we got towards the end of the draft and the Clippers were sitting there? Did you ever hear Kalkbrenner's name last night?
No. The only time I ever heard I saw Kalkbrenner was on the Jay Billis's Best Up, his big board.
Jay knows ball.
So
and he was
the Clippers selected a big man and from Penn State. Penn State had a first-round draft pick. I think it's an extreme reach. So it's day number 2. It starts at 7:00 tonight. I just looked. The Athletic put out their best available. Kalkbrenner be nice to go 32 to Boston. He is listed as their second best available.
He does have a friend there.
Noah Penda is the top prospect that is available according to the Athletic. Cam Jones, Tanjay, and Bryce Williams.
Whoa!
So this is not in order. Bryce.
Okay.
Bryce Williams, according to the Athletic, in terms of available, is higher than Lanier from Tennessee.
Not Bob.
Wow. Good for Bryce.
But you know who's missing on this list?
Hunter Salas.
Hunter Salas.
So
Hunter Salas is going to be a first-round pick.
We picked
last
38.
year. Came back to Wake Forest.
Hunter Salas in this CBS day 2 mock draft went 58th.
Wow.
To the LA Clippers.
That's quite a fall.
That's the risk. Now
that's quite a fall.
I gotta ask you.
You don't go. I don't know what happened. You don't go from I was going to be in the first round, like in the 20s, to go back to college to fall all the way to 58. What happened?
I think it's you get a year older and he didn't show a jump. It's kind of just what it is.
They have a chip on their shoulder when they get in the league.
But they care so much. That league cares so much about age. It's almost as if like when you turn 22, it's like a death mark.
You're geriatric.
No, seriously.
No, I know what you mean.
It's crazy. It's like 21, and then once you get past 21, it's like it's like you take a major drop off and like going back for his senior year and not improve. I mean, he didn't improve.
Look at the Spurs drafting Carter Bryant. He's a baby. He's hardly played.
I have a question for
I'd like some credit for that.
I thought of that when I saw that. And I think he could be
He
good.
won the lottery. He did go in the lottery
Defense.
too.
No, but I told everybody that his dad is the new Grand Island coach. And last night I saw people going, hey, guess what? Right.
He was the best dressed guy there.
He was.
That was a great
outfit.
I like.
Hey, we need defense.
I have a proposition for both of you though. So yesterday we had the whole Danny Wolf saga, where Danny Wolf was
a saga
where he was sitting in the green room and they brought that camera really close up on him, and it seemed like his agent was talking to him, and like they were doing the whole, he was invited to the green room and this is a really difficult moment, and Danny Wolf is really going through it. All he does is he wants to get picked or whatever. And I'm pretty sure the NBA invited more like prospects
that's what I thought
usual
last night.
This go around. Like it was more of there was way more guys there than you typically see.
Is there anybody left?
I said some of these dudes aren't getting drafted tonight.
Well, that's so
like Liam McNeely. Was Liam McNeely the last one that was left?
It was Wolf and McNeely were the last two left, and they were really zooming. Now McNeely was projected to go in the teens, but Danny Wolf was like, it was pretty known that hey, it's going to be in the back part of the draft. Like it was a known thing that he was probably
going to go to a good team,
and they really put the camera in his face. And it was almost like they were reading this already like pre-written, like, hey, here we go. Like, this is a really tough thing for Danny Wolf. And then as soon as after they put the camera in his face, he got drafted. And it was this, oh, hallelujah, great for Danny Wolf moment. And I was just
almost
like,
as if they
and
knew.
I'm not accusing them of anything, but I was like, that was a little too good to be true. Like it felt a little manufactured.
You're calling shenanigans?
No, they might have been following Jeff Goodman. So that was his bit last night. Is he tipped every pick? He was Woj last night.
Sure.
So Goodman was tipping every single
I had to
pick.
turn off my Twitter notifications for that. But I don't know. They knew Danny Wolf was going to go later in the draft. They invited him to the Barclays Center. Then they put the camera on him and did this whole sob story of like, oh, this is a really tough moment. And then he got selected. And I don't know. I think part of like the NFL draft, like, it happens naturally sometimes where you really think a guy is going to go high and then they just naturally fall down in the draft and you put the cameras on him and that's a really like big moment and like it leads into storylines.
Yep.
That seems natural. I'm cool with that. It just didn't seem as natural yesterday.
So back to Kalkbrenner.
Yeah.
So I said yesterday, I think it could go 28-32. If you're projected to go 28-32, you can't use the phrase steal, right? Because a lot of people, I saw comments about, oh, somebody is getting a steal.
No.
Yeah, technically no.
No, that's
can't.
Isn't that where you're going to draft him?
We've put that now. If he gets past a 36 or 38, then absolutely.
You can say we got very lucky to draft someone.
I think
of
if you go
visibility.
that far, then you're like, okay,
what's wrong?
What happened?
Yeah,
because I think you'll tune in at 7:00 tonight, and by I don't know what. Let's say they start at 7:10. By 7:20, he should be off the board and have a home.
Can you imagine if this is another 3 hours tonight?
Oh, I mean, probably will be.
Well, it's ESPN, so they don't. Yeah. It's not like they're they got to go to the CMA awards or anything like that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, as soon as the Spurs are done,
they definitely projected they really hyped up the whole. There's going to be like a lot of trades and stuff like that, and there were trades within picks, but they hyped it up as if like there were going to be like superstars moving or like actual players moving, and like the Nets were going to make some massive free agency moves, and all it really turned out to be is just teams were trading up and teams were trading back, and certain teams were picking here, certain teams were picking there. Like the only guy that got moved was Robert Williams, or what's his
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams. My apologies.
Different players, by the way.
Yeah, I know. One's in Portland.
One of their skill sets.
They just both had the same last name. They're both centers. I got them confused there. But still, that was the only guy that got moved.
So that'll happen in. Would be something if Bryce Williams got drafted in the back end.
So he's not projected in the CBS 2-round mock draft.
Is it updated?
Here. It was updated. It was updated from it was released right after yesterday. So Kalkbrenner, here let me re-click on it here.
Because Minnesota's 31, right? And they've already drafted their backup for Gobert.
So
last night the foreign Juan or John or Johan or whatever.
Yeah. Rasheer Fleming. Pick number 31 to Minnesota, from St. Joe's, and then Ryan Kalkbrenner, number 32 to Boston.
All right, let's just make it official.
And then
Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to Boston at 32.
Janiah Broome and Adu Tiero to Charlotte, back-to-back picks, 33 and 34.
Man, I don't know. I'll be curious to see Broome's game in the NBA.
I don't think it's going to work out, but I also don't want to be that guy who ignores the fact that he played like the best player in college basketball for a lot of the season.
But I think one of Bob Myers last night was talking about drafting, and I mean, wise for him to be there because he's been in the room before.
One of the best drafters ever.
He did kind of do the college NBA. He goes, not just because you're a great player in college doesn't mean the NBA loves you. So that's kind of the confusing part. Where in the NFL, some of the best players in the NFL or in college football are going to transition to the NFL. So where they're drafted kind of matches where they were their last year in college. Where in the NBA, I mean, Flag was the best player in college basketball, so he was number one. But then as you work through, you're like, oh man, I thought Liam McNeely was really good, but he's 29. Bob Myers did a really good job yesterday of explaining how the NBA looks more at upside, and instead of just like, this is what's given to us. And he used the foreign players as an example.
How many?
Because we don't know who they played against. Sure. We just evaluate them because we draft. He said in the NFL they draft on results. In the NBA we draft on potential.
Well, I think that's why people get excited about the NFL draft too. It's because you've watched guys dominate. If you're a big college football fan, you've watched these guys dominate for the entirety of the year, and you know exactly who they are. And college football does a good job of telling stories within a season. And so you might know some stories about that player even before they get to the draft. And so you're more connected to them already because you've seen them play. You know how great they are, and you know a little bit about them. Yep. With the NBA, it's not even just foreign guys. You have guys who play college basketball who weren't even starting, who end up getting drafted in the first round.
That's still going to bug you for a long time.
Oh
right?
my God. I'm never going to get over it.
But he played for Leonard Hamilton. He was a sixth man.
I don't care. Okay. I'm sorry. If you can't crack the starting lineup of your college basketball team, you should not be drafted in the top 5. Okay. Devin Booker, I get it. Okay. That's, he needed to do that for Kentucky. Kentucky was better with him showing up off the bench and being a spark plug for the second unit. Okay? That makes sense. But he got drafted in the double digits. We drafted a guy who was all potential, who barely played in college, who can't figure out a way to find his own shot on the court.
There's hope for you. I mean, again,
the Cubs are in first place.
You're way more optimistic than I am about my own team.
2 years ago, you had the same record as the Oklahoma City Thunder.
He has to be. He works with me.
We're going in different directions. We don't have an SGA.
I'm just trying to give you at least something.
We don't have all of these draft picks, okay? We don't have any of that. We don't have Sam Presti. We have our averageness Kartuovis or
poach him.
Well, you do have a connection to Oklahoma City that's coaching your team.
Yeah, he's been there for too long too. But he's benefited greatly.
Wow, thank God the Cubs won last night. Nice job, Matthew Boyd.
Jim Boylan is the best thing that ever happened to Billy Donovan.
Whoa.
I was going to say Joakim Noah.
The best
I would say Noah, Horford.
Corey Brewer.
Wow. I'm talking about from an NBA perspective and the Chicago Bulls perspective. Billy Donovan having to follow up the S show that was Jim Boylan and the Leadership Council. Do you know that the Bulls had a team meeting every 2 weeks during that season? I'm pretty sure they had more team meetings in the month of January than wins.
I've worked for
It's like Matt Rule following up Scott Frost. You get a lot of grace. You get a lot of grace when you just come in and you run a professional program. A lot of people think you're a genius because you actually run it properly.
All right. When we come back,
this is why we can't talk about the Bulls.
We're going to talk about the Bulls more when we come back. Also, a little traffic update outside of our window to the world here at 50th and Dodge. Traffic headed eastbound is backed up for a while. I'm not sure why.
Just go back home. Back to bed.
If you are headed eastbound at about 50th and Dodge,
day's over.
Yeah.
Get your 4-day weekend started.
All right. A little bit later, Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple will stop by. It'll be round number 2. Matt against Sip. It was probably 10-9 on a lot of cards last week.
Yeah, for me.
That was sneaky, yeah. The new rivalry in media.
It's not a rivalry. But it's not a rivalry. It's just we had a bit of a disagreement. And I think we'll have a disagreement
Emails
today.
said otherwise.
Bit of a disagreement.
Brian Edwards, Gator himself. He'll stop by.
And whenever anybody calls somebody Gator, I think of Will Ferrell. Gators better be wearing jimmies.
I think of Yellowstone.
Hey, speaking of Will Ferrell, we got something for you coming up at 8 o'clock, a major announcement for our listeners. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, when it comes to Moose Roofing, they're the MVPs of roofing in Omaha. Why? Well, let's just go through some things. Residential roofing, they are an ICO Pro Preferred Contractor. And you're going, what in the hell does that mean? What that means is they can offer up to a 50-year warranty on roof restoration projects. Hear that from any other contractor that you deal with that comes out and looks at your roof, your siding, or your gutters, but especially on your roof. So when your roof is damaged by severe weather or it's showing its age, and we're that time of the year where bad weather is rolling through the area, Moose Roofing, you can trust them. Roof repair, maintenance, and replacement needs. They know their business inside and out, and they go to work for you. Flat roofs to commercial shingle roofing, they can protect your business or your home, high-quality roofing services, and they only use the best products with the highest level of workmanship, from who is the lead that you will first meet in a consultation to who is on your roof, who is working on your house that you don't have to worry about. They've been in business for nearly 30 years. Why? They're local. They have a bricks and mortar store. They're not on wheels when the storm rolls in. You go, hey, there's Moose Roofing. Nope, Moose Roofing is here year-round. Over 15,000 roofs from Western Iowa to Lincoln. If you are in need and you're wondering, why are the shingles in my front yard? Well, time to get in touch with Moose Roofing. To schedule an inspection, go online right now to mooseroofing.com. Hey, we had you heard about the controversy that we had at the College World Series that was not revealed until after the College World Series was over.
What did you do, Matt?
What is that?
What happened?
Was there?
It involves LSU.
Oh, I thought was there stuffing of the ballots with the Jello shots?
No.
Did we come to find out that we actually need a recount?
No.
Oh, that again.
Flashback 04.
So Derek Curiel apparently had his walk-up song tinkered with.
Oh.
So
is this Big East tournament again?
He has "God Is" by Kanye. Okay, if we are a Creighton basketball fan, you've gone through. So "Power" is a popular song that used to be played at Creighton games. I don't know if it's back, but it because of things that were going on with Kanye.
Sure,
everybody said,
yeah, get rid of it.
I got a nasty email when I played him here once.
Hey,
really?
Hey, Sweet 98 isn't going back-to-back Kanye on a Wednesday.
Are they going primary Kanye at all?
So people like done with Kanye. But Power is like a good hype song, and Creighton used to play it all the time. And then
many arenas.
Okay. So Derek Curiel, his walk-up song is "God Is." It's a Kanye song, and he had used it all year.
Religious number?
He had. Well,
I don't know the
it's
song.
more the Kanye West.
Oh,
so he had used it in the all year.
It's not like
he used it in the regionals.
Brothers.
He used it in the super regionals, and then
it came to Omaha.
It got tinkered with. So it was just the instrumental and not the lyrics. That this is an NCAA thing. So the school decides walk-up songs.
Fine, we'll play neck.
Okay, so they didn't have a problem with it. They're a school that has allowed that to come back. Hey, oh,
it is a catchy number.
I miss those LSU fans.
That was great.
So the school was like, "Hey, this is cool. Jesus, who the hell's Kanye? Let this roll, man. Hey, you just keep balling out like you are a freshman. You're good."
So
once he got to the College World Series, they changed the lyrics for the championship series, and it was just the instrumental. And
so during the World Series, they used it, but then they got the championship, they didn't.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit. So none of the guys that we know that work in that area of the College World Series are going to say anything.
Right.
But I don't know if it was all instrumental his entire time here, because no one brought it up until someone asked him on Instagram the other day, "Hey, what happened to your song?" No, someone said, a college baseball reporter said, the NCAA was tinkering with players' walk-up songs because of pushback or something. Yeah. And he responded and said they did it to my song.
I saw his video. I saw the first 10, 15 seconds where he was saying, I had the song all year. I was trying to praise God and whatnot. I'm looking at the lyrics. God is my light in darkness. Oh God, God is. He is my all and all. God is. Everything that has breath, praise the Lord. I mean,
you would think in a place like Omaha, Nebraska, that would be encouraged.
Yeah, it's so tough because there's nothing wrong with the lyrics, and there's nothing wrong with a guy that is trying to,
Yeah. What if it was Notre Dame? I mean,
show his faith. Oh yeah, absolutely.
BYU.
I mean, it at the same time is. I mean,
okay,
Kanye is he's very controversial.
So this is clearly you cannot have a walk-up song by Kanye West.
Yeah,
because you can't say it's religious. Because Neighbors from Louisville, his walk-up song is "Lord Send Revival,"
and that was totally fine.
It's a Hillsong, young and free. It's a gospel. No, I don't know. They're fully gospel. It's a catchy tune, but that his walk-up song is allowed. This one, which has those kind of lyrics, is not. So it's a Kanye West thing.
Mm-hmm. It definitely
the NCAA doesn't want Kanye West.
His wife shows up on my For You
page. Kanye
page.
West music at all in the NCAA championship.
I just wish if the NCAA had a problem that they would have just expressed it to the player, Curiel, and said, "Hey, look, we just want to let you know we're not going to play this artist song because of the things that he stands for."
Yeah, I don't think they told him. I think he came to the plate and
they just played it.
Well, it was just the instrumental, so there were no lyrics.
And you're probably stepping up to the box and you're like, "What the hell is this?"
Well,
look up at the box.
Let's just.
I don't think it affected his at bat. I'm not saying it affected his at bat. But while you're
let's be
walking
honest.
out.
It's pretty cool that they allow
Walk-up
players to do
songs.
their walk-up songs now. But unless you're in game day entertainment, there are more people that F up walk-up songs, like in how long they go and when you play them. And
sounds like my wedding DJ.
At least in Major League Baseball, like you are restricted on how long the walk-up song is, and when you have to start playing it, and when you have to finish it.
So
like there are strict rules in Major League Baseball because it's all about the pace of play.
Yeah.
But if you go to most college games, the part-timer who's punching the button to play the walk-up song, that thing will just keep playing, and the next thing you know, about like 45 seconds.
I was about to say, you get 3 different songs sometimes and 3 different walk-ups of like different parts and spots. It's all.
So we had a little controversy after LSU left.
They should have told him. Should have just told him, hey, we're not playing your song. You pick a different song.
You know what they should do is not tell anybody, and Old Sharpie will pick songs.
Be like the moms
sign me up for that
teams when they pick a bunch of Whitney Houston and Celine Dion.
I was last year, and we had Texas A&M here. We did not have Cowgirls as a walk-up song. That was very popular. We had like multiple players last year. The Cowgirls song that was popular last year from Morgan Wallen was not a walk-up song.
God's Country. I feel like God's Country used to be a banging walk-up song, especially for these country boys. That they just love that instrumental, and I hear
love
less
that
and
religion.
less of it.
Love that country music.
I need a little bit more. Like we need every guy on one team to be playing like merengue music. There's nothing more. Like I get so excited when like you're at Wrigley Field and then it turns into merengue for 40 seconds. Everybody's tuka tuka tinka tunka. Everybody's shaking the hips, shaking the hands. They're all dancing.
Like just randomly.
Everybody can be Rizzo.
Well, that or it's like when they did. I mean, it seemed like during the peak of the 2018, 2019, 2020 Chicago White Sox that every night was Latin night. It was incredible. It was awesome.
Again, there is traffic backed up out here. Everybody's listening to the station. Headed eastbound at about 50th and Dodge. It is backed up for a while, so there must be an accident.
There has to be.
Or we got, and we talked about this on the broadcast. What Louisville player was it? Was it Lucas Moore? Well, there was "Careless Whisper" by George Michael. It actually gave you some faith in the youngins that they are hearkening back to the 80s.
Do I give you faith in youngins? All right, moving on.
It depends on the subject.
On a different note,
you are an old soul, so I give you that.
Back to basketball yesterday. Fred Hoiberg met the media. Fred, smart guy. Fred. Hold on, let me hear. I got to see. Is Fred a day tour?
Oh, he's got to be for sure.
I would guess so.
Yeah. So we are day tours around here. He was a day tour. 50. Well, back then they had the whole draft was in the one day. But let's just say in today's world, in '95, when he got drafted by the Pacers as the 52nd overall pick, he would have been a day tour. Fred loves the day tours. We're day tours around here. Fred also loves 68.
68.
Who doesn't like a good 68?
NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Who doesn't like a good 68? He said no to 76. So he okay. All right, Fred.
Who's saying yes to 76 that isn't in the NCAA? That you're like supporting. Like 68 it's perfect.
I mean, there's no fans clamoring for 76 teams.
Hey,
0.
Rutgers from this past year.
They are the Los Angeles Angels of college basketball, man. It's absolutely incredible. The memes yesterday, the memes were awesome of just people making fun of Rutgers basketball.
Now, to be fair, there was some injury and there was an illness. And,
yes.
And there was some bad defensive rebounding and just a bad
team
roster.
Around.
Yes.
Your 2 superstars.
Okay? So all of those.
Yeah.
So Fred said a couple things yesterday. Fred has been listening to me. I've been in Fred's ear.
Is that why he's so smart?
You're not be listening to me.
Fred is the smartest guy I know. He said exactly what I told him to.
Okay. I'm glad that Nebraska didn't get to the NCAA tournament last year, not even their own conference tournament, and had to go to the Crown. Because if they would have snuck into the NCAA tournament, I don't know if you would have seen what they did in the portal.
Be as aggressive.
Because he learned his lesson. He learned his lesson. It ended with a high, but that was a tough watch last year. But look at the way they reconfigured the roster to say, we're not going to be in a situation where we don't have enough shooters. So they have a bunch of shooters. They have more depth. But what he said yesterday, and you might know this because I brought this up when people were tinkling on this kid. What was the biggest thing if I'm looking at what Fred Hoiberg said yesterday that you think got me excited?
Rink masks being stronger.
No.
Burkay Buctan gel is becoming more comfortable.
The Turkish nightmare.
There you go.
Okay. So I said, because people were ready to give up on him, and let's say his body language and his laissez-faire attitude and, maybe not being on time.
Yeah.
And maybe being paid too much and not living up to it.
Bingo.
And, that didn't go so well. Okay.
No, it didn't.
But it dawned on me, like in The Crown, when he would not play, he was more engaged, okay, on the sideline.
Sure.
Instead of being a moper.
Yeah.
Okay, instead of being a sad face. He's
going to be in boogie
sitting at the end of the bench and just going, why am I? So I said, because people were like, okay, that dude's gone. Okay.
Well,
take his credentials away, take the visa away, whatever you got to do, get rid of him. He's out.
I was on that. I was on that bandwagon.
And I said,
you talked me
if
off
he does something to his body and he works on his shot, I'm not ready to throw him away. And so I was listening in and out to Fred yesterday. And when he got to the Turkish nightmare and he said that, I went,
well, he's in really good condition and he's in the best shape of his life. That's where we're at.
That's the start, though. Now, the basketball IQ and when we shoot the ball and don't shoot the ball.
And
okay, we're getting to that.
Thank you. Can we get to the point where he's picking and choosing his spots better?
But I think he will. So I'm going against the norm.
This is the bare minimum.
Nebraska needs him.
The bare minimum is to be in shape.
The Turkish nightmare. Stop going to Turkish restaurants in Lincoln, and he's getting his body right, and there might be hope.
And
that's what I said. I'm like, okay.
I don't think I hate any season more than he's in the best shape of his life season.
Well,
that's my least favorite.
But
season.
with him,
But he's already okay. I know what you're saying, and I get it. I get it, and I know the potential,
We didn't have the body of Adonis. We had the body of Armando.
He looked like Doug McDermott, and Doug McDermott is much older now and has a lot more miles on Burkay Buctan gel. Look, when you're a college athlete getting paid as much as he was getting paid, the bare minimum is to be in good shape. The bare minimum is to be in good condition.
Well, and he's also young too, so it's easier.
It's easier.
Now hold on here. I'm going to hold you to this.
Sure.
Do you use the same argument for the quarterback?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. I just don't like fair and balanced.
Absolutely. Dylan needs to be in better shape as well.
Because you use that because he's getting paid?
Yes. Yes. When you get paid that amount of money and you have those expectations, the bare minimum is that, yes, I have taken the steps to invest into my body to make sure that I can just perform at a base level that it's not going to hinder me because in the investment that everybody else is putting into me.
All right, so let's look at Jimmy. Jimmy's in great shape. How much money do you think Jimmy makes?
No, we're not doing that game.
Why?
We're not doing that
now,
game. We're talking about athletes,
mind you,
radio.
I'm scouting bridges for my family to move under here in the next few months.
Can I be honest?
It's going to be awkward with four.
Can I be honest with you? The three of us, for being in radio, we actually are in pretty good shape. The three of us. Okay, I mean, if we're being putting a conglomerate together of just radio people
as a whole, are we the most in shape show? Is that what you're saying? That's tough.
The afternoon show has a marathon.
Well, nobody here ran the Boston Marathon.
Hey, I need to ask Josh. There is a woman today that is going to try and run a mile under 4 minutes.
I can tell you right now.
There's no way.
Insanity.
You can't run a mile.
We see those people that win the
men.
canyons.
There have been men who have been able to run a mile under 4 minutes, but women running a mile under 4 minutes it's a feat. It's a feat. I don't know if it's ever been done before.
No, she's trying. She is trying to do this for the first day.
Yeah, the world record for a women's mile is 4 minutes and 7 seconds.
Faith from Kenya at 1 o'clock today.
Let's go, Faith.
She's going to try and become the first woman to run a mile in under 4 minutes. It is on Nike's YouTube channel.
So she is the current world record holder. At 4 minutes and 7 seconds. She set that in July of 2023. So that was 2 years ago. So she's had 2 years. How old is this woman? Anyway, Jimmy's in good shape.
Thank you.
Jimmy's in fine shape.
You used to be a runner. Could you run a mile under 4 minutes?
No.
All right.
Maybe if the cops were chasing me.
How much money does Jimmy make?
And how much shape he is, if Jimmy was an athlete, in general.
Okay, looking at guys in shape, should Hoiberg make more than Rule in your world?
No, this is not what I'm saying. This is not
walked right into that.
No. All I'm saying is that when we are talking about athletes, the bare minimum for when we're paying these guys as much money is they are in shape. That's the bare minimum.
What would you tell EA Sports Rule? You're making way too much money to look like that?
The stair stepper is a great tool, is what I would tell him. Stair stepper is awesome, man. I love a stair stepper. Do little intervals on the stair stepper. And then I would tell him, move more, eat less, have some more protein. But you can't forget about carbs. People try and completely eliminate carbs from their
shout
diet.
out carbs.
You need to have carbs to function.
You can't have 6 bagels.
No, I mean, your brain runs on glucose, right? And glucose comes from carbs. Now, it doesn't mean you need sucrose, right? Sucrose is just pure sugar. You don't need that, but you do need glucose. And so, I mean, bread.
My blood sugar was good this morning. That's all I care.
Isn't awful for you. You don't want to have 8 slices of bread every day, but you do need your carbs.
Well, see, therein lies the problem. Sometimes you want to eat 8 slices.
But there are a lot of carbs and fruits.
8 slices of bread in a day.
Well,
there's some people.
If you have
I don't
3 burgers, that's 6 slices of bread, and then if you have a turkey sandwich, then you're on a.
Or if you have 3 Big Macs.
I'm already going to guess that maybe your idea of getting in shape and you're on the 3 burgers.
Do you think I'm in shape?
Do
you look at me and you think I'm in shape?
I think you're in okay shape. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in okay shape.
Well, I mean, okay, you're doing all right. Yeah. You look good. You're young. You got a good head of lettuce.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I've been trying, man. I got to get
Don't cut it.
though.
Don't cut it.
My mom is sending me.
How much do you think
bills.
Mangino makes?
Now less than he made when I was in school.
You know exactly what I'm saying, though.
Okay, so Bielema makes pretty good money. Are you going to say to him,
hey,
he is a hefty fella.
Bielema's job, though, is not to run up and down a basketball court for 32 minutes. Bielema's job is to inspire the troops and recruit really well in Illinois. That's what his job is. Okay? If anything, his weight helps him recruit in Illinois.
Does it matter if your coach is in shape?
Oh, we used to have this discussion in college all the time. So
I think it depends on their attitude. If I have
what if they rock a 6XL Letterman and it just
so I'll bring something up. We just mentioned Bielema. We mentioned Mangino. Ralph Friedgen doesn't coach anymore.
He's a big guy.
Can you be a big guy and be a coach?
In basketball or just in general?
Basketball or football?
Frank Layden?
Absolutely. You can be a big guy.
Okay,
and
who would
successful. They be? Andy Reid's a big guy.
Okay. So let's stick with college.
College,
because there are more larger gentlemen in pro sports than there are in. I mean,
you're saying stick with college? Okay.
Look at some of the managers that are in dugouts.
currently?
Current.
Well, Bielema.
And he's tall, so he wears it better.
Is Belichick? Are we talking? Belichick isn't in shape.
But we're talking fat.
Well,
we're talking really
rotund.
Really big.
We're talking like Bielema size,
like standing next to Obi the Orange.
Can you have to get a job, a high profile job? Can you be?
Well, Orgeron did it with LSU.
He's more thick than fat. He's not fat.
But he's not skinny.
He's a big dude because he played football.
He's not skinny.
He's not fat.
He's not.
Actually, looks pretty good. I saw him shirtless on the beach.
I'm just talking big.
I'm talking next to him.
I'm talking big. I'm talking
I'm a big guy, but I'm not fat.
Ed Orgeron is not
built. He's built.
He's built.
No, he's built.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He was.
I'm not calling him fat. I'm just saying he's bigger.
This conversation's over.
I'm calling him. He's a bigger guy. He's not a small guy. Ed Orgeron is not a small guy. Is what I'm saying.
He's got a barrel chest. That doesn't mean he's a large.
I would not put him in the same category as Bielema.
But you just did.
But I would say that he's bigger. He's big. He's not a small human. I would not say that Ed Orgeron is a small coach.
Why don't you do this? Okay,
I can only think of Bielema.
I'm only going to give you a tip here. You need to call my guys over at Kugler. You need to have your eyesight fixed. If you think Ed Orgeron is a large man,
do we have any fat coaches anymore?
Guy. We really don't have.
I don't think we do.
Now. We don't have a ton of. A lot of them are in shape, or they're just not big. They're not really big.
Well, they're not rotund.
Yes,
they're not.
Well, we used to.
Well, yeah,
we had the fridge.
I think I can only think of Bielema.
Bielema
and everything made sense back then.
Bielema's always been a big guy. He's a lot bigger than he was ever at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he went to Arkansas and You go on the on the rubber chicken and peas circuit a lot.
You have a lot of coaches who aren't necessarily
No,
skinny.
you're out in this
but
conversation.
I wouldn't call them fat.
You fat shamed Ed Orgeron.
I did not fat shame Ed Orgeron. I just said he's not a small coach. Is Ed Orgeron a small, skinny coach?
I mean, for his height, he's kind of skinny. He's in good shape.
He is in good shape. He's just a bigger guy.
He's tall.
Right. There's
Point
not
is, we
a
have
lot of skinny coaches either. There's not like a ton of there's more skinny than there is really, really big.
Yes.
Outside of Frost, the head coach at Nebraska that's been in the best shape.
T.O.
T.O.
Yeah. Because he would run after practice.
Solich looked like he was in pretty good shape too.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember hearing about T.O. would run after talking to the media and get like 3 miles around the football field. Man, that's dedication. Yeah, that's how he pulled off those red pants.
How fast can you run a mile right now?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You'd ask, why am I running?
Because I have no desire.
I don't think I could finish a mile right now.
All right, so that's happening today.
But Burke Button gel's in shape.
That's important.
It is
much
important.
like Coach O.
It is important. I'm not
very excited to hear
I'm
that.
not hanging a banner.
Well, because they're not.
No, and they shouldn't. And it's a good thing that they're not getting. You think they're getting rings too? That's a good question.
They are getting something to commemorate the crown.
Get a watch. Get a watch.
Oh, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they are getting something. But they kind of slipped that there will be no crown banner at PBA through, didn't they? Hey, we gave you the floor. Well, you're not getting the banner. Suck it up, Husker fans. By the way, scheduling news: Kansas State is coming to Omaha.
Yes,
December 13th for a non-conference game against Creighton.
Yeah, they're taking on all the Sunflowers.
The Marcus Foster game between Creighton and K-State will take place on the 13th. We'll have a reuniting of the NCAA tournament game as well in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Should be fun. Non-con, baby. I thought for a second when you said Kansas State's coming to Omaha, I thought the Mavs got...
Not a chance.
Got the Wildcats.
Hang up or not answer.
No. Well, Summer League made some news. We're trying to expand. They were looking to go west. Now they're going south. Yeah.
Like Texas State is going west?
UT Arlington and Abilene Christian will be in the Summit.
Oh, wow.
I hope people enjoy that when Omaha's in a different league. All right. Sarah Baker Hansen coming up at 8. You guys think I'm crazy.
Movo.
No, I don't.
I believe
you and I have talked about it before.
When it comes to Summit League news and Omaha news, whatever you say, absolutely.
5 years from now, the Summit League will look just lopsided, and Omaha won't be in it. That's my prediction.
They'll be in the Pac-12.
I don't know anything because I don't know anybody over there. They don't talk to me. They just give me the.
They don't give Sharpie any time of day.
They just give me the schedule and they say, "Hey, show up, do the game."
Somebody wants lunch.
This is when the plane's leaving.
You're like, "Hey, it's Uncle Sharpie. What you got for me?" They go, "Here's your charter. Get out of here."
The league the Summer League wanted Southern Utah and Utah Tech, and they just went to the Big Sky yesterday. Because even when we played at Southern Utah, like their radio guy was like, "Hey, I can't wait to come to Omaha." And I'm like,
"Oh wow,
I can't wait to come back here to a remote place in Utah that takes 3.5 hours from Las Vegas." No, I did not say that.
That would have been kind of rude.
I can't wait to come back to Cedar City in the middle of the winter. But they are now. So then they looked at Tarleton State, and Tarleton State is going to Conference USA because they want to be big in football. So it looks like the Summit League will have UT Arlington and Abilene Christian are their only two options left.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Huh.
Weird.
So maybe Omaha's option is stay in the Summit or go to the Missouri Valley Conference.
Not a bad idea.
We'll
Not a bad idea at all.
All right, we're back with more after this.
Gary and Matt brought to you by AGR Roofing and Construction, local quality service. Go to agrroofingandconstruction.com right now to schedule your first free inspection.
All right, we have a announcement that'll warm your cockles
Yes.
coming up after the top of the hour. Sarah Baker Hansen will also join us. So it's that time of the year. They're in smack dab in the middle of summer conditioning when it comes to college football. And they're through the month of June in recruiting. I got a couple of big dates coming up in the next week for announcements. But I noticed that Terry Bradden had the defensive lineman over at his house. It's nice to see. I believe this is his basement.
Okay.
It's not the clubhouse of an apartment complex that you live in and you're a football coach. We've gotten past that. But I would like to go visit this house. I don't need to have the defensive linemen that were over for dinner last night.
You just want to be at the house?
Well, because we have some Kansas City Chief frame stuff. And then I believe he has a replica of the Lombardi Trophy in his house with his time with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
I would just like an invite just to come and stroll through your house and see all of the different Chief things you have. Now, the other part of this picture that I'm very curious on.
Why does he have a Chad Henne jersey?
Because Chad Henne played for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think he's got a Chad Henne Miami jersey. Number 7 in the corner. I think that's Chad Henne. That's awesome.
How many of the defensive linemen that are in this picture could you identify?
Yeah, great question. Very little. Very few of these guys. Just off of face alone. I think I'm good for. I see Cam Lenhart.
Mm-hmm.
I see
Tyson Terry.
I see Tyson Terry.
Elijah Judy is in this picture.
I see Sua Leftu. I see Judy. I see Keona Davis.
Keona Davis is a monster.
He is a big human. So
why bring this up?
Where's Riley Van Poppel? Is he in the back left? No, that's Terry.
That's Tyson Terry. Riley Van Poppel is in another picture.
Okay.
In one of the pictures.
I don't think he's in this picture.
He is not in. Yeah, but he's in another picture.
Sure.
That was taken.
Oh, there was a crash right here. That's what it was.
Oh, right at 50th and Dodge?
Yeah.
Okay. This is I got in this conversation at the College World Series because Rocco Spindler was at the College World Series.
Oh, okay.
And I talked to Rocco, and someone goes, "Who is that?"
I think
so. I said to him, that's Rocco Spindler.
Yeah,
and he goes, I kind of thought it was. He goes, I knew he looked like a lineman. And so I said to him, you're a Husker football players, and it's a tough sport because guys wear helmets and you can't see their face. I go, how many just off their picture in normal clothes could you give me off this roster?
Oh.
And I said, it cannot be Dylan and Emmett.
I think I could give you
and Harburg. So there would be 3 I would take away from you.
Maybe you might laugh at me. I think I could get 35 to 40.
Okay.
Just off of face. I could probably get 35 to 40, just pure face. That's that guy. I might be underselling. I might be overselling.
Who is the 4th most recognizable player on this year's roster?
Deshaun Singleton?
That you could pick out out of uniform.
Yeah. For everybody or for me? I think for everybody, it'd probably be Deshaun, if I'm being honest, or Hartzog, because he's smaller.
Been here forever?
Yeah. I mean, those are just 2 guys who played. Maybe Buford, if you've been a big fan. You got to know what Marquise Buford looks like. Oh, I got it. Teddy Prohaska.
Yeah.
Because he's just so big. He's just such a big guy.
And Teddy takes a lot of pictures without his uniform on.
He does. And Teddy's out in the,
All right, big announcement coming up after the break. So get ready. Prepare yourself accordingly. Because Sarah Baker Hansen's going to stop by. She is separate from the announcement that we will have coming up for you next on 1620 The Zone. All right, I probably should just double check because we were gonna.
Seen this before.
We,
This is new. What is this?
okay.
This is great.
So
There's the announcement. Elmo's coming.
okay, so we are good here, right?
I have not seen any emails saying otherwise.
We got within 5 minutes yesterday,
got close yesterday,
and we were told no.
Yes,
but
you can announce.
we are the first to announce
Elmo is coming.
Elmo is coming to Omaha. Adam Sandler is coming to Omaha. So Adam Sandler, You're My Best Friend tour
Hell yeah.
will take place on the 21st of October at the Chai. We are the first to announce it, and tickets go on sale on Friday at noon.
All right.
Okay? But
Oh?
you can win them before you buy them.
Bang!
This is what they do in radio. That's a great phrase. You can win them before you buy them. So what we have is we have 3 pairs of Adam Sandler tickets to give away between now and tomorrow. So this is, if you've seen him in concert, because it kind of has turned into a concert because he'll play music.
And you went last time, right? Because I remember you telling me about the rules.
Oh, he's great. But he started to play. He'll bring his guitar out and he'll sing a little bit.
Phone wall keys, baby.
But he is back in Omaha. You're My Best Friend tour, October 21st at the Chai. Now, the first pair of tickets we're going to give away, and we'll do it this way. We're going to make it easy on everyone. Email Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. So no calls. It'll allow you, if you're driving, if you're stuck because there's a car on fire here outside of our building.
Which you just heard.
Yes. It'll allow you to get to your computer or your email on your phone and send the answer to this. Jimmy will select the correct winner from all the entrants. Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. This is for the first pair of tickets to the Adam Sandler show that we're going to give away. We've got 2 more to give away before the end of the show tomorrow. This is the question. And again, send your answer to Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. He'll collect them all, and then he will select a winner and get in touch with you. In many of Adam Sandler's movies, his love interests' names all start with the same letter.
Oh, nice.
In many of Adam Sandler's movies,
good one.
His love interests' names all start with the same letter. What is that letter? Send it to Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. He'll collect all of the entrants that are correct, and then he will get a hold of you as a winner of a pair of tickets to go see Adam Sandler at the Chai coming up on the 21st of October. We have 2 more pairs to give away, so continue to listen, and that's where we're at.
Damn, that was quick.
I don't know if you've seen I think you have, but for those who haven't, his Netflix special, which kind of kicked off this whole... Not kicked it off, but where he was able to...
Was that when he introduced the Chris Farley song?
The Chris Farley song. And I think people knew that Adam Sandler loved the music and that he was very good at making those types of songs, but I feel like that special elevated it to a whole other level where he was able to do some really funny things and make a comedy, but then also better than anyone else, especially with Farley, he brings in that emotional kind of element to his things. I'm going to go. I'm so excited about this. When we got this email a couple days ago that this was going to happen, I was ecstatic.
Again, in many of Adam Sandler's movies, his love interest names all start with the same letter. What is the letter? Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. All right, time to welcome in back to the show. Our favorite foodie is Sarah Baker Hansen. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Do you know the answer to that question about Adam Sandler? And, well, maybe I should first ask, are you an Adam Sandler fan?
I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan, but I have no idea what the answer to that question is. And I didn't have time to Google it while I was on hold.
Whoa. People do that?
Off the top of your dome, Sarah. Come on.
Sorry to disappoint you. If it was a food question, I think I would know the answer.
Ooh. I'm trying to think if Adam Sandler, if there's any movies that surrounded food.
There was one where where the red Ferrari where he's got a red horse in it and he takes care. It's with Jennifer Aniston and he takes care of 2 kids and it's it's like a fairy tale type movie and then all of a sudden gumdrops are falling from the sky.
That was going to be my
man,
question.
it's a really good thing I'm not a movie critic, because I would be really disappointing your listeners right now.
Did we like
the
the comedic Adam Sandler or the serious Adam Sandler?
Mm.
Like, are you Happy Gilmore or Uncut Gems?
You know, I never watched Uncut Gems because it seemed like one of the most stressful movie watching experiences I could imagine. So
you are
probably
correct.
Shouldn't fully comment.
So you're funny. You're funny, Adam Sandler. Do you have a favorite Adam Sandler movie?
You know, I mostly remember Adam Sandler singing the Hanukkah song. So maybe not a huge Adam Sandler fan, I guess.
All right. All of our visitors to the College World Series are out of our steakhouses, so we're very happy for those of us that live in Omaha.
They have exited downtown Omaha as well.
Thank God.
Now, do you say that with like, oh, thankfully, or do you like part of you misses all the excitement downtown?
I mean, I have always loved the College World Series. I think it's such a fun time to be living in Omaha, and I love the energy. I live right across the street from a hotel, and every year one of the teams stays at the hotel, and it's always pretty fun to see all the fans outside cheering for their team. So yeah, this year it was the Louisville Cardinals, and as I had just returned from the Kentucky Derby, I felt a real, kinship with the folks from Louisville outside screaming their heads off.
How was your Kentucky Derby experience?
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is something I can talk to you about, the Kentucky Derby. It was fabulous. I mean,
That's
it's
awesome.
such a everyone that's asked me about it, I've said kind of the same thing, which is if you've ever had like an inkling of a desire to go to the Kentucky Derby in your life, you should definitely go, because it is not only this incredible sporting event. I think it's really kind of it's obviously steeped in tradition, but it's so cool to see obviously all the hats, but everybody there is so excited to be there, and the energy is so great, and mint juleps are really good. So it's really fun. It's very exciting. And of course the Oaks and the Derby are the two main races, but there's horse races all day. And so really, really fun to kind of just get into the whole scene of the horses and the jockeys and everything that happens during the 2 days of the Derby.
Was this a bucket list?
Yeah.
For me, yeah. I had told Matthew a long time ago that I thought it would be really fun to go to the Kentucky Derby someday, and he made that happen for my birthday. So pretty sweet gift. Yeah, and it included a gift certificate for a hat. And so I got a hat, and I actually got two hats because you need two hats if you go to the Oaks. You can't wear the same hat 2 days in a row.
No, you can't. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. But it was great. It was very fun, and I would absolutely go again. It was that fun.
So your latest review on the flatwaterfreepress.org is of Santoro. Now,
yeah,
Mexican restaurant, and you classify it as more of a mid to high end Mexican restaurant. And for me, when I grew up in Mexican restaurants with my family, I've never been the biggest fan of mid to high Mexican food, because it's just, to me, it's, tacos should be $1.50. They should be $2. It shouldn't necessarily be expensive food. But I am a believer, if you're going to do mid to high Mexican in terms of prices, you got to do it right. In your opinion, do you think Santoro's does that right?
I think Santoro is doing most of it right, and I don't think that's surprising, because Jesus Rivera, who of course for many years ran Rivera's in Omaha, one of, I think pretty fair to say, one of the city's favorite Mexican restaurants, opened Santoro, and I think he's done a really nice job of some recognizable dishes that folks who enjoyed Rivera's will recognize from the Rivera's menu, but then he just added a lot of new different things. And after he told me when we talked on the phone after my visits that he went back to Mexico for some time after Rivera's closed, and kind of thought through, like, what did he want to do at a new restaurant, and, in Mexico, eating Mexican food, decided on some different dishes that he wanted to add to the menu, which he's done, and which I think are, kind of a higher end in both presentation and quality of ingredients, and kind of just across the board. They feel fancier. Now, there still are street tacos if that's what you want. There's still, queso and queso fundido and all of those sorts of, dishes that you would expect to see at any Mexican restaurant. But then, I think probably there were a couple of dishes in particular, the white mole that I mentioned in the review being one of them. That's just something that, I personally had never had it, and I had never seen it at a Mexican restaurant in Omaha. And to me, that's what I always really enjoy, that when somebody sort of, takes what people already like, gives it to them, and then introduces them to new things. And I feel like that really is the direction that he wants to take it. And that's always really exciting to me.
This comes up when people visit Mexican restaurants. They're like, oh, is this Tex-Mex? Is this the California?
Yeah,
a little bit Mexican. How would you describe what is on this menu at Santoro?
I would say, it's not, to me, it's not Tex-Mex. To me, it is, I did a little bit of research after my visits to kind of learn about the dishes. And, he's serving dishes that originate in like Oaxaca or, different areas of Mexico. And if you know anything at all about Mexico, you know that their cuisine, like many other places in the world, is very diverse. And so, there's going to be people that, people that recognize some of the dishes, and then there's going to be people who have never heard of some of the dishes. But like I said, I kind of like that. I like the idea that you can go in and try something that you've never had before. If you want something familiar, you can do that too. And I think, Santoro has the classic mole as well, the dark mole that I think a lot of people, sort of associate those mole enchiladas with Rivera's, and he's doing those as well. And of course, those are great too. There's just lots of diversity. I think some of the dishes that I tried, I didn't love. And I felt like the heat level on some of the dishes was uneven. Like I ordered queso twice, and one time it was like boiling spicy, and the other time it was just in the middle of the road spicy. And so, if you're sensitive to spice, which I admittedly can be sensitive to spice, some of the things were too spicy for me. But that's kind of a personal preference. But I think if something is marked as not spicy or spicy, like, it probably should fit that and not be spicier one visit than it is another. Like there were some uneven moments.
You had what I think is the most underrated and not talked about dish in just Mexican cuisine. You had a queso fundido. You had the chorizo queso fundido. How was that? Because I feel it's one of those things, when I see it on the menu, it's almost like a marker to me that, hey, this place means business.
Yeah, and I think queso fundido can be either really fantastic or really bad. Yeah. And I've had both. Good point. It can be just absolutely delicious and well executed and melty and hot and everything you want it to be, or it can be like a hard blob of cheese in about 20 seconds after it's delivered. And I will say this was the former. It's really good. It's got lots of flavor. We went with friends that evening, and they also really enjoyed it. I think it just really, that's a dish that I think is a recognizable one, and this is a very well executed version of it. Great. No complaints at all about that dish. I would order it again.
Bob wants to know, because he has heard of this, but he's also heard how busy it is. Do they take reservations?
They do not. Oh. And I kind of addressed that right at the beginning of my review, is that it is very popular. And both times we went, we had to wait. Now, people, you pull up and you see people standing on the sidewalk, but it's going to be a wait. Yeah. And I don't think, unless you went like right when it opened, or later in the evening, I think you're probably going to face a wait most nights, even on weeknights. We went on a weekend and a weeknight, and we waited both times. But there is a patio, and there's kind of a little bit of room on the patio to grab a margarita. And so we did that one of the nights, and that makes the time pass a little quicker. But yeah, they don't take reservations, and it is incredibly buzzy and popular. So just, I guess, absorb the vibes and look forward to your Mexican food that you're going to get
It's also
once you get a table.
It's also a unique location at 86th and Dodge.
It's a very unusual location,
Yeah.
and I don't think we've really seen kind of this style of restaurant in this area of Omaha. It's kind of right down from, it's right west of Methodist Hospital, and it's kind of a new development. And when I interviewed Jesus after the visit, he told me he had his eye on this spot, and that the developers of this new strip there really wanted him and his restaurant, and so they waited almost 2 years for him to be able to open in this spot. But it's kind of a cool industrial space. It's in what was formerly the boiler room of the redeveloped building there, and so it is loud and a little bit echoey. I think they probably do need to put some sort of sound softener in the space, but it's a very cool vibe. He's got, like I mentioned, the patio, and he said when we spoke, he was having a mural artist come. It was very white out there when I visited, but he's having a mural artist do some outdoor art in the space, which I think is really going to make that a cool space to hang out in. It was already fun out there, but it's going to be neater after that's complete.
You wrote this in your review about how it did get too loud at times in there, and there were moments where you couldn't really hear the people that you were talking to. Do you think like the loudness of an area or that ambiance is something that you don't really know you have a problem with it until you have a problem?
Yeah, and I think a lot of diners. I mean, I've been writing about restaurants for a long time, and people are very sensitive to noise, and especially if somebody has a impaired hearing or I think that can be challenging. Like if you can't hear what the person next to you is saying because the restaurant's very noisy, that's frustrating for anybody. And so, I like to make note of things like that. The same as like the wait, or you've seen me write about how, sometimes I think restaurants are too bright. I think things like lighting and sound and music and, that's all part of the experience. And if something is a little bit off there, that can be noticeable to people, including me.
Is there, and down the road, maybe expanding the hours?
I think I didn't talk to him about that, but I think at this point he and the restaurant are so incredibly slammed with customers. Pretty much it seems like at all times. I'm sure that they are working really hard to make this a good experience. But when a restaurant opens right away and is just incredibly popular right away, I think that does create some different challenges. I don't think that it's going to become any less popular. I think it's going to remain popular, but I think, their team will refine the menu and the service, and hopefully they kind of handle some of those things that were a little bit uneven and figure out how to kind of smoothly move it forward. And I think in time, perhaps that means they'll also expand the hours.
Sarah, I always ask you this question. Give me the guide. You're going to Santoro. What is Sarah Baker Hansen? What are you doing? What's the appetizer? What's the entree? What's the drink? What's your ideal Santoro dinner?
Let's start talking about the drinks as well.
Yeah, too.
Yeah. So they have, if you can, there's a photo in the review of the bar, and you can see kind of the huge selection of kind of mezcal and tequila that they have. And so for right now, like I said, it's very busy. They're serving a short list of kind of batched margaritas. We tried, when we were there with friends, we tried several of those. I think there's 5. And the one I liked best was kind of, I would say a pretty classic version of a margarita, but I like my margarita more tart than sweet. And I say, if you like that, you should try the Verano Mio, which is a really like a lime forward margarita with Blanco tequila, salted rim. Pretty classic iteration of the drink, but just really well executed. That was my favorite. They also have some mezcal margaritas that my friends enjoyed, and then there's a dragon fruit margarita. Wow. That was also a big hit with my friends. So I definitely would start off with that Verano Mio cocktail. And then, I probably would just go right down that queso fundido path for an appetizer. I really enjoyed that. And, like I said, I like the enchiladas suizas, which that's the white mole.
Okay.
And then there was another dish that we tried. I'm looking at my review so I can get this name right. It's the cazuela norteña. It's sort of like a Mexican casserole, one of the more unusual dishes, something that I had never had before. And I'm going to read you this list of ingredients. Okay, so it's like layers of corn tortillas, soft chorizo, sautéed shrimp, roasted chicken, black bean salsa, melted cheese, sour cream, spicy chipotle sauces, and crispy pork belly. So imagine all of those ingredients sort of like stacked up, kind of like a lasagna with the corn tortillas kind of scattered in between the layers. Like, it's spicy, it's crispy, it's saucy, it's cheesy. Like, it's all the things you want. It checks all of those kind of Mexican food desires that I think most of us have. And so if you're wanting to try something other than like the street tacos or perhaps the mole enchiladas that maybe you've had at Rivera's, I would say the cazuela norteña was definitely one of the more interesting and fun to eat dishes that we tried, with just a lot of textural differences and really delicious ingredients. So that's what I would do if it were me.
Well,
which it was.
Hey, Jesus is a great cook, and I'm glad that he's back.
Yeah, me too. I think a lot of Omahans, like me, have been waiting for his new spot to open, and we have it now. So I think there's a lot of fun things to try, and he's going to be adding specials to the menu, which I think those are going to be really fun to see. He had mentioned seafood. He had mentioned some different kind of regional Mexican dishes that he wants to try out and see kind of what his customers like, and maybe those will become more regular occurrences as Santoro continues.
Fantastic stuff, Sarah. This is a great review of a place that just recently opened, and I know is extremely popular. As always, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah Baker Hansen. That review of Santoro is up on flatwaterfreepress.org.
Shout out to Matthew, who won the tickets. Matthew, also a fellow Sad Cowboys fan, as he told me. So I figured I'd get that one in there for him.
Congrats to Matthew.
Listens to the show, loves the show.
Hey, hold on.
What was?
No. He sucked up to you.
No.
He gave the tickets to a Cowboy fan.
That's collusion.
That's even more collusion
than
second,
what's going on at March 22nd,
so
2022.
He answered the question, which is V, by the way.
Yes.
And so then I said, congratulations, you win.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
I need my information, or I need information to put into the system. And so the second time he replied with the information, address, all that stuff, and said, loves listening to the show, loves you guys, and fellow Sad Cowboys fan. So
all right, let me finish this comment, and then we're going to go through their love interest. What letter did you think it was?
Nothing.
That's not a letter.
Nothing. No big deal. We just move on.
You thought it was Z, didn't you?
No problem. No.
I
just thought of it.
Zelda.
I just thought of it. I thought of a completely different movie with a completely different cast.
Well, it's like multiple movies.
Mm-hmm.
No, this one does not have Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Casablanca.
Not everybody looks like Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Can I ask what actor you had him confused with?
That's Cary Grant.
It was the movie title, not the actor. Okay, I know the difference between Jason Segel and Adam Sandler.
What about Steven?
But I thought Forgetting Sarah Marshall was a Sandler.
Who do you get Jonah Hill confused with?
This is a great question because I get all these actors confused with different actors.
Not
I don't
surprising.
think I get Jonah Hill confused, but I've gotten Cillian Murphy and Keanu Reeves confused before, because they're just both very tall guys with very dark features. Your hair, facial features.
Well, I'm glad that Jesus is back because Rivera's very popular. Is over on Home 12th and Blondo, and I think it closed. But I think there were personal reasons why it closed. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What letter did you think?
I'm not gonna answer that question because I like Sandler, but I'm not like a Sandler head.
Okay.
I thought it was S.
That's okay.
That's what I thought. I
don't think that was one of the letters because we had wrong answers, of course.
Sometimes you're going to get the answer wrong, all right? It's trivia. You're not going to get all of them correct.
So Happy Gilmore, Virginia.
Yeah.
Billy Madison, Veronica.
I haven't seen that.
Pixels was Violet.
Oh, I see. I watched Pixels.
The Waterboy. Remember, Adam Sandler had a
Vicky Valancourt.
Yes, had a love interest in Waterboy.
Mm-hmm.
And then
was this a really, really easy question? If you're like a Sandler fan?
Well, okay, so probably like the two. If you say Adam Sandler movies, well, most people would go Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore.
Veronica
right
Vaughn popped in my head immediately when you asked that, and then I thought of Vicky.
And then I would say,
we got Little Nicky.
Yeah.
Who was his love interest in Grown
Valerie.
Ups?
I couldn't remember Winona Ryder's name in that. So, yeah, there we go. Wouldn't have gotten it.
But V is like the popular one, and that was the correct answer.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
We had a
Billy
lot of
Madison.
right answers. It just, I mean.
So we have 2 more pairs of tickets to give away to Adam Sandler.
Who was the love interest in Gridiron Gang? Or not Gridiron Gang, The Longest Yard. The Longest Yard. It's the same. It's very similar plot.
Is this along the same lines as Ed Orgeron is fat?
No. He's just not super skinny. He's a lighter
fat
guy.
bastard
And
that used to
secondly,
coach LSU.
Yes, I get The Longest Yard and Gridiron Game confused sometimes because they're basically kind of the same thing. One's got The Rock, one's got Sandler. You got a bunch of convicts that got to be better at football.
Whoa, leave the 90s Cowboys out of this.
One of the 90s Cowboys was in that movie.
What do you got against the Hurricanes?
I got nothing against the Hurricanes. God, Stone Cold Steve Austin is awesome in that movie, though. It was great.
He's awesome in everything.
Longest Yard. I just saw it a year ago. It was incredible.
You should see the original.
The original better than the remake.
That's how I like learn every day.
The second one was nice. They did a good job with
that. There are more and more movies that have an original
good cast.
But that original, I mean, that's some of Burt Reynolds' best work.
Okay.
I'm not being facetious. He's good.
I have failed, by the way, in an Adam Sandler. I loved Uncut Gems. And yes, you're on edge, and it makes you very, very uncomfortable.
That means it's good.
It's a gambling movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike Francesa's in it.
Ooh, nice.
Kevin Garnett.
Well, I do know that.
It gets it. Oh, I'm not going to spoil it because some idiots out there have already spoiled the season 4 of Bear today.
Oh, man.
Bear came out yesterday.
I'm telling you, you got it. Yep.
They're in fine dining, right? With the bear right now. Is that what episode they're in? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't like season 3.
I didn't either.
But I hear season 4, like okay, we heard our
4's got to bounce back.
And it sounds like 4 is it. Like they're
He's
not
really
going to
good.
try and stretch it out. But I loved Uncut Gems. And again, I don't have OCD. I don't like people that have anxiety did not like that movie at all.
I don't think I would like that movie.
But I love that movie. And when Sandler tried to be serious, I thought he struggled. But in that movie, I thought he was great. I am in the minority of people that loved Uncut Gems. There are more people that are like, no, that movie.
I mean,
and more
I
of
like
it,
Punch Drunk
and more
Love.
of it was, it made me uncomfortable. I couldn't sit there and watch it. I mean,
on Rotten Tomatoes, I thought I got a really good review.
He should have been.
So I was going to ask,
he should have won an award.
Did he get snubbed for it?
Mm-hmm.
He should have at least
because
been
he's Adam Sandler.
You know what? That is so interesting, Gary. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it's for critics, right?
Uh-huh.
It's 91%, but for the audience score, it's a 52%, which is actually, I mean, that what you're saying makes a ton of sense because critics who don't really have that anxiety and they just love movies and they watch movies could be like, oh, this is a great movie, loved it, and I think people who go to the movies who just feel something. Probably were like, why am I sweating a fictitious bet right now?
You felt something.
I think I looked this up because I thought Uncut Gems would get award nominations. He won a bunch of independent awards.
But I thought he would get nominated for best actor off of. And now I didn't watch the movie, but I read the reviews and I saw even under the trailer, you can tell, holy crap, this is a completely different actor.
Yeah, you don't recognize him. He was wearing adult clothes. Periodically. I think the only movie that Adam Sandler has been in that it got nominated for an Oscar was Click.
Did Pixels get nominated for video Oscar, video editing or something
maybe,
like that?
But this is for the movie got nominated for an Oscar. I think Click is the only one that he's been in.
He's got to make one more run at it, right?
Well, I thought Punch Drunk Love should have won something.
It should have. I think he was even better in that than Uncut Gems, and I like Uncut
Adam
Gems.
Sandler has.
You know what? I do agree there. He had a better
They're both
in terms
damn
of
good.
being serious. Punch Drunk Love, I think he was better than when he in
So-
Uncut Gems.
Because he got into like 1 hour photo territory with Robin Williams.
In 03,
He
he
was
got
really
nominated for Best Actor for Golden Globe Award. I don't know what movie that would have been
but not
for.
an Oscar.
Not an
Right.
Oscar.
Okay.
No, I don't think he's ever been nominated.
That might have been Punch Drunk Love because I was in college when it came out. So
Jeez, he's
03.
got so many Teen Choice Awards.
Yeah,
He like cleans up.
you should.
regular Josh Giddy.
All right, we have 2 more pair.
Jimmy.
What?
Jimmy.
What? Comparing him to a good basketball
I mean,
player.
you could have said Wander Franco.
I was about to say there are plenty of other better
Yeah.
like convicted.
that Wander
examples.
Franco is.
That story kind of went away, right?
It did.
The Josh Giddy
I
story.
thought
yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well,
After they
'Cause
traded
she
him,
got
it kinda-
older and then she was legal, or what?
no, it was because he was in a place that only was supposed to allow people that of his age, like that were 21 or older. And she got in there, and I guess that he was nullified because he was under the assumption that the people within the building were of age
Makes
to
sense.
be there.
No X's on the hands.
And then I guess he never, went to go and verify, her
Can I
age.
see your ID? What?
And so I guess that's part of the reason that went away.
There was a discussion of the College World Series by fans from out of town that we do not have enough under 21 clubs in Omaha.
Wow.
Yeah.
That never crossed my mind when
I-
we moved here.
I think we're fine. I
I'm
think we're
good.
okay. I'm not.
I'm good.
I'm not
You
hankering.
suck it up. Get a
I'm
fake.
Not,
okay?
I'm not begging. I'm not on my knees being, please let the teenagers in. Let the teenagers in. Now, a couple years ago, I probably was begging for that.
All right. Steve Sipple's coming up in about 45 minutes. We had a little fight going
There's
between.
not going to be a fight. There's just going to be a question.
It was very uncomfortable.
It was not uncomfortable at all.
I went home and took a shower.
I had a couple
smoked,
emails that
Smoked
made
a cigarette, and I wondered if Sip was ever coming back on the show.
You had to pull me out of the fire a little bit during that interview.
There wasn't a little bit.
All right, so round number 2 is coming up at about
Round number 2.
9:15.
McMaster Sipple today 9:15. Tickets on sale now.
I just want to know if Danny Odom's a big deal.
Ooh, the first shot across the bow.
That's just I mean, I just want to know. I just want to ask. I'm just curious.
That's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
This week's Mega Deals Week on 1620 The Zone. Oh, yes, that's a big deal. It's mega. Is a different half-off deal every day. Today's deal is Brownie Bar Bakery. Get Brownie Bar Bakery in Rockbrook Village, half off. With this deal, you get 5 $10 vouchers, a $50 value for your math majors for just $25. That's half off. At the Brownie Bar Bakery, customers are spoiled for choice with an array of mouth-watering brownies and toppings, from building your own single brownies that tantalize the taste buds to brownie flights that take you on a delightful journey of flavors and pack various sizes to satisfy any craving. There's something for everyone. Each brownie is crafted with love and attention to detail, ensuring an unparalleled sensory experience. Oh, it's a lot. Get the deal now, 1620thezone.com.
All right, the Wisconsin schedule. At Bama, at Michigan, Ohio State, at Oregon, at Indiana, Illinois.
That's 6 losses right there.
Jump around, baby.
Back to you.
Okay, so this is my question. As I was perusing the magazine yesterday, better chance that Wisconsin goes 0-6 or 3-3. Again, they will have a hand in who will be playing in the playoff. At Bama, at Michigan, Ohio State, at Oregon, at Indiana, Illinois. Better chance to go 0-6 or 3-3?
0-6.
0-6.
0-6 for sure.
Because every time you listed a game, I was like, no. Okay, maybe Illinois. Wait, that's 1. That's less than 3.
I just think that I understand the whole, okay, we're going back to what was working in terms of the offense before for Wisconsin, but what was working before for the offense for Wisconsin was the fact that they had superstar running backs, that they had Jonathan Taylor and Melvin Gordon and Monty Ball and these just and really good offensive lines where, hey, we're going to give the ball to our superstar. He's going to get plenty of space. And then, we'll funnel in some passes and we'll add to it. Right. They don't really have that superstar. Holy crap.
But you love Billy Edwards.
I do like Billy Edwards a lot. I think Billy Edwards is a good quarterback, and I think he's a better quarterback option than Tyler Van Dyke and Tanner Mordecai, who they had the last couple of years. But at the same time, I like Billy Edwards if they're playing, Michigan State, and if they're playing, Rutgers, or if they're playing like the Minnesota or like the middle tiers. I don't know how much I like Billy Edwards when you're playing Oregon, Ohio State, and Alabama. I like him. I think he was a fine quarterback last year for Maryland, and probably didn't get enough credit for what he was working with over there. But I just don't think they have the firepower offensively to outscore any of those teams.
I think if they went 2-4, you'd accept that through that 6.
Oh my God, without a doubt.
2-4, and then find a way to go 4-2 against your other 6.
Well, who do you think are going to be the most likely that they beat out of Illinois, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, and Bama?
The last 2, which it's probably more 1-5 than 2-4. You'd have to win a home game. I mean, there's 4 incredibly difficult road games.
You're gonna have to upset somebody.
You'd have to split. Yeah. You'd have to split Ohio State, Illinois at home, and then you'd have to. I mean, you're not going to win at Alabama that early in the year.
No.
You could possibly win at Michigan. Michigan's got to go to Norman and prove something to me.
I agree with you because I'm out on Michigan until I see that Bryce Underwood can be a serviceable quarterback.
Now, if he's a serviceable quarterback, be afraid. Be very afraid.
Well, because
if they go through freshman learning curve, then like Nebraska playing them early, actually I think will be a huge benefit to Nebraska playing Michigan in the first month of the season instead of getting them where they used to get them like in November.
Well, because at that point they've kind of figure out what their team is, right?
Yep.
All right,
look at last year.
This is 1,000,000% because they go, this is our identity. We're going to have to play incredible defense and we're going to run the ball and we'll pick and choose our spots in terms of passing. At that point, you're not figuring they don't know who they are completely at that point. And also too, this went under the radar, but they picked up another quarterback in the portal last week. Eastern Carolina guy named Jake Garcia, a veteran quarterback who they just kind of brought in very quietly. And I don't know if that necessarily screams an overwhelming amount of confidence for Bryce Underwood and what he's shown so far. Now,
or is it depth? Because if you're forced to bring in a guy in June and he's going to be playing in September, then you got bigger problems than just your quarterback position.
Good point. But I think too with Underwood, like we did this exercise with Dylan last season, where I kind of looked at all of the true freshman quarterbacks at a Power 5 level. How do they typically play? And we could talk about Dylan and the ups and downs and the patches of the season that he went through, but the season that he had last season is pretty standard for a true freshman quarterback playing the Big Ten.
You want to play a little game here of
Sure.
just absolute chaos when it comes to the Big Ten?
Go ahead.
What if you had one team was 10-2?
Okay.
Another team was 10-2.
Okay.
Another team was 10-2.
Jeez.
Another team was 10-2.
So 4 10-2 teams.
Another team was 10-2.
So 5 10-2 teams.
Another team is 10-2.
How many 10-2 teams can we mathematically have?
There could be 10. So,
okay. All right.
In that scenario, which is a great June 26th Sports Talk Radio topic, 10-2 teams. How would you make the playoff?
Strength of schedule.
Because somebody would have a third loss because they would lose in the championship game of the Big Ten.
I would do it. Well, first off, oh my God. Because how do you judge the teams that make it to the Big Ten championship game? Because they make it off of tiebreakers, not necessarily who are the two best teams, right? So there could be a team, oh, that's awful.
So Penn State, I'm going to give you the names now. Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, USC, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Washington. All go 10-2.
I think you're definitely going to get some, it's going to be strength of schedule. How good was the non-con, right? Like, I think Indiana is going to be kicking themselves in a scenario like that because of how bad their non-conference schedule was. And you got teams like Michigan and Ohio State who play Texas and Oklahoma respectfully. Like, they're going to be rewarded because they played those non-con games. But at the same time, it'd be crazy if, Washington got in to the Big Ten championship game at 10-2, and you're like, you have to win this game to get in the playoff because based off your strength of schedule.
What if Washington only lost at Michigan and at home to Illinois? Would that be a college football playoff resume?
Who else would they? Well, they don't have a overly difficult schedule, but they don't have an easy one either. I don't think those are two bad losses because, in this scenario, both those teams would be 10-2, right? So they would have had, if they only lose to Illinois and Michigan, then they have a win over Ohio State, right? So that in itself is they would for sure be in because they would have a win over Oregon and Ohio State if their losses were to Michigan and Illinois, which one of those games is on the road. So they would be fine.
So what would be Nebraska's case? Again, this is just fun on June 26th.
No, this is good.
Because
this is crazy.
Because we're pausing NBA draft talk. Nebraska, Michigan loss at home and at Minnesota.
Bad.
Knock them out of the playoff.
Yeah, for sure.
Minnesota's 2 losses would be at Ohio State and Oregon.
And Minnesota's win, I don't think Minnesota's going to be that good this year. But, those are fine losses.
Until they're not, I don't doubt Minnesota.
Okay. I do. I don't like their quarterback, and I think that they're going to rely too heavily on their running back. But at the same time, it is PJ Fleck. Minnesota wouldn't have any quality wins. They wouldn't have any, signature wins. They would have wins over Wisconsin, Northwestern, Nebraska, Purdue, Rutgers, California, Buffalo, and Northwestern State. No, they would be out.
So
I think Washington.
So let me give you what Penn State's scenario would be.
Okay.
Well, there are 2 losses. At Ohio State and home for Nebraska. Nebraska goes into Penn State end of November.
That means they
wins.
They beat Oregon though, right?
Yep. I would love this because this people's heads.
It would explode in their
Chicago
faces.
would explode.
Oh my God.
USC's 2 losses in this scenario at Nebraska and at Oregon. That gets you into the playoff.
That gets you for sure
2 road losses.
If you're USC. If you're Penn State, you still beat Indiana. You still beat Oregon. They have a terrible non-con. I don't know. Penn State might be bordering. They might be bordering in that situation because if Nebraska, who beats Penn State,
but they have a loss to Minnesota. You don't think very highly of Nebraska, and then they go and beat Penn State at home in transitive property. You think Penn State sucks. And you have to mention this too. This loss would be the second to last week of the season. And so it would be like more so on your mind that Penn State lost to Nebraska at home than probably any other loss that you're comparing to.
By the way, the 2 losses for Ohio State would be on the road.
Hey, real
at
quick,
Washington and at Illinois.
real quick, where the hell did you find this? Where did you find this doomsday 10 teams finish 10-2 scenario?
Because the doomsday had Iowa going 6-6 and Wisconsin 3-9. And so I'm like, okay, how do we get to the end here?
Oh, okay. You took your hatred and you turned it into something fun.
What if Indiana went 10-2 and their only 2 losses were at Oregon and at Penn State? They would have an Illinois win.
Yeah, no, they would be bad.
But Ohio State's 2 losses would be at Washington and at Illinois. But they would beat Penn State. They would beat Michigan on the road.
Washington would be great. Washington would probably be like a favorite in some of these scenarios.
I
think they're going to be really good.
Yeah, keep an eye out for Washington. He's a good coach. They got a really good quarterback. I like how they finished. They've recruited well.
They have recruited really well.
Now the travel thing looked like it affected them last year. Like when they went into Iowa City, they looked like they had just woke up. But they got a good football coach. Washington is somebody that is somebody to pay attention to in this league. I think they could put in a request to be involved in the middle. I think the upper middle, which I think is good and is getting better.
How quickly do we forget that they were in a national championship 2 years ago? Like, how quickly do we forget that they had some of the best talent in the entirety? And I know that how the championship went might have stained how we look back at that team.
No. It's just they lost look at all the talent.
Oh, no, I know. But
their coach left, their AD left.
I'm saying in terms of,
I think the dog left.
Being in that part of the country.
Yeah, they do got a new Dubs.
They have a new dog over there?
Yeah, last year, I think.
Well, look,
the other one didn't die. He just retired.
If Washington can do it once.
Went to work for the Seahawks.
They also have Ryan Walters as their DC, which I think is a massive add.
All right, Steve Simple's coming up in the next hour. Brian Edwards as well. As we roll on till 10. The fire is out at 50th and Dodge. They've cleaned the car. So if you want to drive on Dodge again,
you're good to go.
Treat it like the Autobahn. That's what the mayor said. No speed limits on Dodge anymore.
Is that what John Ewing said on our interview?
That's what I heard him say to you guys.
No, he did not say that on our interview. No, he absolutely did not. Oh. He said we might have more infrastructure for more events in Omaha. That was about it.
Like an NHL arena out by an outlet mall?
No.
Shouldn't that be done by now? I haven't driven out there lately. Is it done?
I have no clue. We did get cards from people, though.
Jimmy, have you been out there by the outlet mall?
Not in a while, no. Yeah, but we're going out. Oh, no, I take it back. We did go out that way last week.
Arena should be close to being done.
I was looking for it.
But my guys at Grow Omaha haven't reported on it lately.
We'll be out that way tomorrow. I'll let you know.
Hey, Atlanta, 3rd time's the charm, baby. It's crazy they're going to do it again.
Also, what happened to renaming that place after the Big Ten? I'm starting to second guess that guy now. All right, it's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Gary and Matt is brought to you by AGR Roofing and Construction, local quality service. You can go to agrroofingandconstruction.com right now.
All right, so the NCAA men's and women's basketball tournament is going to 76. It's inevitable. You can't stop it. Money, 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 and more opportunities for people like in the Summit League.
Okay, so I have a proposition. I know it won't get passed, and I know it's probably me screaming at a wall, but I would like it, and I would be more open to this expansion if they said, hey, out of the next 8 teams that'll be in, 4 of them will be the next best Power 5 teams, and then the other 4 will be what we deem are the best non-tournament winners from from mid-major conferences. I think that would be a really good way to sell this expansion. Hey, we're going to let in these 4 other Power 5 teams that are like are on the board, on the border. They played good ball. They've had good moments, bad moments. And then we're also going to bring in these mid-major teams that played really good ball who just couldn't get it done in the tourney. I would be more open to it. I know that's not going to be the case.
This is the problem, and this is what you have to be careful with. And I'm standing up for the American woman, American man that is a cash. I like the casuals.
Yes, you do. We all do.
Casuals join your bracket because it's easy to fill out. It's 68. It all makes sense. You don't have to pay a lot of attention to the play-in game because the play-in team moves on. 16's not beating a 1 unless you're FDU. But if all of a sudden you have a weirdo bracket where the tournament starts earlier, how is the casual fan in your office going to know what to do with the bracket? They usually wait until Thursday. Now all of a sudden they got to be in on a Tuesday, and you've got extra play-in games, and you got to pay attention to those games.
You have people who will pick up the paper and put it down.
I'm looking out for the American man and woman that loves the NCAA and just shows up in March. I'm here for you.
Suzanne from accounting, who always wins. I'm looking out for you. That's who I'm worried about.
All right, Steve Sipple coming up here in just a bit on 1620 The Zone. All right, day 2 of the NBA draft. Ryan Kalkbrenner, John Tonje,
Why is it 2
Hunter
days?
Salas, Bryce Williams, Chucky Hepburn. 2 of the 5 will be drafted.
I say 3. I'll say 3. I say Kalkbrenner goes, Tonje goes, and Hunter Salas goes.
I would be excited for Hunter that if he does not go, and I'll say 3. I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
I will say probably a little bit later, but
I can't imagine Hunter Salas not getting drafted at all. Like, I understand that he went to Wake and maybe he didn't take the jump that people were anticipating him to take and going back.
So why do you think last year in mocks he was a first-round guy?
Because
and most of them were all first-round.
Because it's the age. Because he's 21. He's shown promise at a Power 5 level. He's played really good basketball. He has the NBA body. And so you're thinking, okay, we have a couple of years, right? In 4 years, when he's up for a second contract, he'll be 25. He'll be entering his prime. Now, when you go back and you don't get any better and you just add on another year.
So he dropped 30 spots because his composite last year was like 21, 22.
This is also, though, last year wasn't really a deep draft or like a memorable draft in terms of the amount of prospects that you had. I mean, most of the top prospects, you're like, who? Like, a lot of them were overseas. This class this year has been definitely heralded as one of the better ones over the last couple of years, and so I think he's fallen victim to that as well.
Mr. Historian, Mr. Chavez, speaking of the draft, because people will judge this draft off how Leave It to Beaver plays, and really Dylan Harper as well.
Yeah,
but would you like to rattle through the 2000 NBA draft class? Which there's a guy in that class that actually turned out pretty well that was on TV last night. So the 2000 NBA draft class, that might be the worst draft class in the last 25 years.
I was going to say, I kind of remember.
Was that Elton Brand?
Who the hell's this guy? Who's Duty Eby?
Was that Elton Brand 2000? Or was he 99?
He might have been 99.
I think he was 99.
2000, I'm trying to guess off the top of my head. Hey, Julius Peppers was in that draft.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Kenyon Martin, who had just gotten injured at Cincinnati, was the number 1
And that
pick.
sucked because they were on track to win it all.
Swift from LSU. Darius Miles.
Strohmile, yeah. Hey, loved him in that one movie where he's
Marcus Fizer. Mike Miller. Turned out well.
That's a good pick.
Mike Miller, who is an agent, was in the, the green room last night or the holding area. DeMar Johnson, who played with Kenyon Martin at Cincinnati. Chris Mim, the big guy from Texas.
I remember him.
Jamal Crawford from Michigan.
Paperweight.
Prisbilla from Minnesota.
Joel, yeah.
Keon Dooling from Mizzou. That was your top 10 picks. Actually, since the lottery technically is 14.
Then the Clippers take Dooling?
Yes, they did.
That checks out.
Good call.
They have a history of effing up the draft.
Mateen Cleaves was 14. Courtney Alexander was 13. Etan Thomas from Syracuse was 12th.
Former Wizards,
and Moiso from UCLA went to Boston. That was the
That's a bad draft. That is such a bad draft.
Oh, that was rough.
That was the 2000 NBA draft. I believe.
Oh, you left out Hedo Turkoglu.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the lottery guys. I think the lottery guys combined for 1 All-Star appearance.
I'll say this: the 2013 NBA draft, those top 10 picks, that was tough sledding.
That is a brutal top 10.
That is the Anthony Bennett went 1, Oladipo went 2, CJ McCollum went 3. And then from that point on, it was Otto Porter Jr., Cody Zeller, Alex Len, Nerlens Noel, Ben McLemore. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope wasn't bad. Trey Burke and CJ McCollum.
Man, I'm shocked these guys didn't complete.
Just so many role players that were around for like 6 years and then were gone. Just fairy dust.
Man, there's some great names in this list. Mamadou Njai, I remember him.
All right, so the 2000 class is just garbage.
Mark Madsen was in it.
Thank God, like Mike Miller was in that class. Then you just go 3 years later. Would you like to bring up the 2003?
That James character, he was the number 1 pick. He was good. Carmelo Wade, and who could forget the steal of the draft, Darko Milicic.
Oh, no. Well, he was NBA champion.
That's right. NBA champion, Darko Milicic.
Dwayne Wade in that draft. Wasn't Kyle Korver in that draft? Or there was a sharpshooter in that draft, I remember.
There were a number of them.
Yeah, Chris Bosh. How can we forget?
Corver went, 51st in that draft?
That's such a good pick.
Scooney.
Do not forget about the 2003 draft, the run of Mello, Bosch, and Wade.
Oh, yeah. Apologies, Chris Bosh.
Chris Kaman.
Chris Kaman.
Yes.
That's actually a great call. Chris
The
Kaman.
comb over.
Chris Kaman had like a 12-year NBA career.
Yeah.
He actually broke my heart as he led the 8-seeded 76ers.
Oh, he was on that team.
He was on the team that defeated the Derrick Rose-less
Yeah.
number 1 seed Chicago Bulls.
He was big on the 06 Clippers. He looked like Chris Elliott.
Turned out to be a pretty good draft.
Mo Williams.
Outside of Darko.
Mo Williams, 47th. Is actually pretty good.
Darko could have been.
TJ Ford, which got injured, and Kirk Henrich was in that draft. He was 7th.
Decent career.
Hey, you had that was a big year for Iowa.
Heinrich.
Because
Love Captain Kirk.
Kirk Henrich and Nick Collison, 2 Iowa guys that were drafted in that draft. Good to see Oklahoma City brought out, like Indiana was trotting out their veterans,
Yeah.
their alums. Oklahoma City brought out a couple of guys.
Well, Nick Collison has his number retired at Oklahoma City. And there's actually a really good
Former
E60 about
Supersonics.
Nick
Great.
Collison, about how important he was to that franchise.
Nick Collison had a good basketball career. Now
did.
he's in the front office, isn't he?
Is he in the front office?
Duty Eby was in 03, so I take back what I said. I mean, hey, you got to be fair. He was part of that big draft, and he went to the Timberwolves.
All right, so there will not be a lottery pick around here.
Andrew
Omaha,
Perkins went next.
Boris Diaw was
Creighton,
in the
or
draft.
Nebraska will not have a lottery pick. Technically, so the lottery is the top 14. Nebraska's only had 1 lottery pick ever. That was Rich King. 91 went to the Seattle Supersonics. Creighton has had a couple. Benoit went 3rd overall in 85. Bob Portman went 7th. Dougie went 11th. And then Paul Silas went. Paul Silas was a 2nd-round guy, wasn't he?
That was LeBron's first coach.
So, from the Nebraska perspective, because Fred talked about Bryce Williams yesterday, and then he brought up, what did he say? It's not Kansas or Kentucky where you walk in the door and you're a lottery pick. And I'll give you a little nugget here on the draft. So Duke had 3 top 10 guys.
Yeah.
Calipari did not have a first-round guy since 07. Kentucky did not have a first-round guy since 09. Is North Carolina. So if you're choosing,
I forgot about
if you're
that.
choosing like, okay, this is where I'm going to go to college because I'm going to be a first-round pick. Duke is a no-brainer.
Easily.
Baylor is also a place that I would think about going. Baylor produces first-round draft picks.
Good.
But you know who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
North Carolina. So North Carolina has not had a first-round draft pick since
20. Was it Day'Ron Sharp? Did Day'Ron Sharp go in the first round?
2005.
Really?
They have. I don't think the North Carolina has not had an All-NBA guy first team since Vince Carter. Correct?
Yeah, I have a hard time.
No, I don't. I mean, Cole Anthony was good, but he never made an All-NBA team. Yeah, he didn't make an All-NBA team. No.
Cole Haan had a better chance of making the
Well, Cole
All-NBA
Anthony
team than Cole
actually is a pretty good
So
point guard.
no. So top 5 pick.
Last
20 years.
So the last first round pick for UNC was Day'Ron Sharp in 2021.
Wow.
And Day'Ron, I think he might be still with the Nets. Last UNC
Top 5 pick.
top 5 pick as well. Look up top 5 pick.
It was Williams and Felton in 05, correct?
Marvin Williams.
Yeah.
That was the last one by the Atlanta Hawks in 05.
Now Harrison Barnes was.
He played for a little bit with them.
Harrison Barnes was either 7th or 8th.
He was 8th, I
Okay.
believe.
But you have to go back to 2005 to find the last
that is
top 5 pick
crazy.
from Duke.
Yeah.
Now, is that like a Roy Williams thing? Where
Little bit.
Where he just, that's the certain way that he coached and that's
Well,
how
you
he developed?
also, they didn't go all in on the one and dones.
Mhm.
Well,
And he always did that
That's
at
a good
Kansas
point.
too. Like a happy medium.
do you know what's crazy? In that time, North Carolina football has had 2 top 5 picks in the NFL draft.
That's a good nugget.
Drake May and Mitchell Trubisky.
Ouch.
And since then, they haven't. And in that time, they've had 0. Now, Kobe White went 7th. I should have known that. That was back in 2019. Cole Anthony went 15th. And then Harrison Barnes went 7th.
Okay, so
But
it's 20 years since they've had a draft pick in the top 5.
But since 2007, they've had 1, 2, 3 players be drafted in the top 10. In the last 19 years, they've only had 3 top 10 draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely wild to me. I mean, they've had really good players though, like for sure. But like you really have. When was the last time we had like a North Carolina superstar?
They did not.
Hansbrough?
They did not go into the one and done.
Yeah, that would be, and he was all for. But yeah, Roy he wasn't a big fan of the one and dones, but he kind of had to find that sort of middle ground. And the guys that were 4-year guys like Hansbrough, really good. Danny Green was part of that. McCants.
I think what's so interesting with the one and done stuff though is that, look, obviously the teams that have had the most consistent success have been the ones who have been getting one and dones, the Kentuckys, the Dukes over the last 20 years. But I've also think it's incredibly interesting that it hasn't meant success for everybody all the time. Like, look at Rutgers. Rutgers is not a program that you look at in terms of, oh, hey, they get one and dones. They got 2 in 1 year that went in the top 5, and they weren't able to manage it.
But everybody has their moment having 2 top 5s, right?
No.
What about 2 top 4s?
No.
Oladipo, Cody Zeller. They went 2 and 4 and 13.
But not Rutgers. Like not Rutgers. I mean, Kentucky and Duke. Oh my God! I mean, it's almost become like the standard for Duke at this point. Isn't that crazy? I totally forgot too that that's the second time they've done that, where they had 3 players in the top 10 with Zion, Cam Reddish, and R.J. Barrett. Which, if you remember, during that draft in the preseason, the mock draft for that year was R.J. Barrett 1, Zion Williamson 2, and Cam Reddish 3. Like heading into that Duke season, there was a belief that they were going to be number 1, 2, and 3. And then the season went on. Zion became Zion, and Cam Reddish definitely was a spoke on that wheel.
And Duke isn't going away.
No.
Like you could celebrate Duke having 3 guys in the top 10 because they made the Final Four.
Hell, Shire had the most swagger of the 3 last night.
Like if you're Rutgers, you're like, okay, hey, good job, Pike. There you go. Hey, what happened? And it's still the one of all the things that happened at Rutgers this year with those 2. And there's a little bit. They did get one got injured.
Yeah.
The other got sick and lost about 10 pounds. That you had guys wearing Nike shoes at an Adidas school.
Oh yeah, and they completely ruined the relationship. To go what, 15 and 17?
And they were below. They were 8 and 12 in the Big Ten.
Talk about the juice not being worth the squeeze. I mean, just crazy.
The rest of that the whole roster couldn't shoot the basketball and they couldn't grab rebounds.
I remember you watched.
Other than that, they weren't bad.
You watched Rutgers before I watched Rutgers during the year, and you came back to me and you're like, they're playing with 4 D2 guys. and then I go, isn't that working for Drake? That was so bad. How are we going to remember that Rutgers team? That is like in a decade. When I think Ace Bailey is going to be a superstar. I think Dylan Harper is going to be a superstar.
I'd be angry. I'd be angry if I was one of the 15 Rutgers basketball fans.
I was just going to say 15, 20.
You had 2 generational guys for 1 year, and the way you built the roster around them.
Has there ever outside of Barrett and Williams? Has there ever been a 1-2 like that on a college roster where it's like, yeah, these 2 guys can easily be superstars in the league for a long time in college basketball?
I don't know. What if Duke had been knocked out in the first round upset? Would they celebrate having 3 in the top 10?
No.
See? But you could say, that's why we're in the Final Four.
But do you
Rutgers could go, oh, that's why we went 15 and 17, because it was 2 guys playing 5. And sometimes it was 1.5 playing 5.
Do you remember when Calipari had 5 guys drafted in the first round, and he said it was the greatest thing since like winning a national title, and everybody freaked out about it? I mean, he wasn't entirely wrong.
That's why Big Blue Nation turned on Calipari. I don't care about NBA guys.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you're making them money.
Go and win.
I want to win Final Fours. I want to win championships. All right, Steve Sipple, we'll see if he'll win round 2 against Matt. The odds are out.
What are the odds, Gary? Do you give me good odds?
I think you have good odds here.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
We'll see who throws the first knockout punch. That's coming up next. Grab your popcorn and 1620 The Zone.
Go deep on the first play.
We believe that Steve Sipple is ducking Matt.
You ask me, what did I do? You're like, why isn't Sip picking up? I go, I have not cultivated any of this.
You pissed him off.
You're the promoter. You're the guy who's always in the Mike Tyson fights with the big gray hair, and he's always waving the flag.
That'd be Don King.
That'd be
Yes.
Don King.
You're Don King. That's what you are.
Hold on.
I know.
Look, study Don King.
Okay, no.
Okay.
But I'm just saying. I'm
You
just
think he's a
saying.
random guy.
No, I'm just saying in the precipice of you promoting fights, you are being Don King, not anything else that Don King has done. Is Dana White
Remember
better?
when Don King used to promote Bud Crawford fights?
No.
Don
I
King
remember
used to
sitting-
promote
I remember-
boxing.
I
Have you ever
remember-
met
I
Don
remember-
King?
Yeah. So at the fight at PBA, Don King was there, and
Okay.
media sat around in a circle talking to him.
Did he act and sound exactly like you thought Don King
He's
might act
a
and
little
sound?
bit. I was hoping for more, but he's a little bit older.
Okay.
But he's still Don King. He was still.
Yeah,
he was
there
still
is.
quite.
93.
He was
damn.
still quite
Whoa.
entertaining.
Oh, I mean, I only know Don King's from just the press conferences and him just standing there, and me as a
You think
kid.
he's just a random fan?
Literally, like as
That
a
random
kid-
guy with
as
the
a
hair?
I
kid-
think he's just
as-
a huge Tyson fan.
As a kid growing up, I was always enamored by like, who the hell is that guy? That guy's a very interesting looking dude. And then I got older to learn that, okay, that's the promoter. You know, this is all a bit of a charade to get people to buy the fight. And now it's just he's become like, anytime you do any sort of like parodies of boxing matches or like boxing press conferences, there's always somebody dressed up as Don King waving a flag.
George
It's great.
Washington Duke in Rocky V was based off Don King.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen Rocky V,
I
but
thought you said you did. No.
1, 2, and 3,
He was.
And four.
Oh, yes.
and 4. Haven't seen
The
five.
hair is real. I do remember that.
Did you touch it?
No, but I sat close enough that I could observe it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did it smell?
Well,
Smell good?
I don't smell people's hair.
Okay. Well, if you're close enough, you can maybe, if it radiates like a certain perfume, you know.
that's true. That's happened.
Like, you've never been around somebody where they just radiate like a certain smell?
We were not that close.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I didn't know the
I was
dimensions.
not basically sitting hip
Mr.
to hip.
King, can we
Let me take a whiff of that coif.
Well, I'm not claiming that you asked him to smell his hair. I was just wondering if it, he probably does have a lot of money.
Oh no, he does. Yeah.
Just very curious. I was just asking all the base questions.
Not a fan. He is a promoter. He's not just somebody that was a big fan of Tyson and
I
followed
did-
him around.
That's not
waving
what I
an
said he
American
was.
flag.
I knew who he was.
His handler.
I don't know his history or maybe the potential controversial things that he's might have done, but I know that he's around.
Potential?
I
Man's
don't
Hey,
know.
that's a
I'm
good
not
savior
speaking-
say.
I'm
That's
not-
CYO.
I'm not
Man's
speaking on it.
93.
I'm not speaking on it.
With that said, I think Sip is ducking you. You should tweet at him, because people that don't know this conversation then will like, whoa, we finally got
happened?
we finally got our
Yes, what did happen,
long-awaited
Jimmy? Jimmy, what did
Nebraska
happen?
media.
Well, that's
beef.
what I was trying to figure out because I was doing something else, and all of a sudden I was like, "Whoa, what happened? What, did I miss something?"
Sip and I just had a little bit of a disagreement.
And then I had a couple emails that said, "Did I hear what I thought I heard?" It's like, I don't know. What did you hear? What happened?
Well,
Did I
somebody
not
said
hit the
he
dump
called me a
button?
moron.
He
I didn't
did.
hear him call me.
That's
a
actually what
moron.
got me to flip my head around from the
I don't
computer. I
think
was
he
like,
called me a moron.
Well,
I don't remember him
I don't
calling me a
remember
moron.
saying the word
at all.
moron. I don't
"Well,
think-
he didn't call you direct, but he did say the word more." I can't remember the
He said
context.
that people are moronic, maybe.
moronic.
Yeah,
moronic.
not
Yeah.
scuronic.
He's used that word before.
Yeah, I don't
True.
think he didn't call me a moron. But
To-
I
to
mean,
We gotta
nice
be careful
to
here.
Be nice to somebody, you say you are moronic instead of you're a moron.
you've called me both things before, so I'll just
Never called you
take
a
them in
moron.
stride.
It's called
I'm
you way
kidding.
worse.
I'm kidding. Joke around. I was excited for Sip though.
Anyway, the point is you angered Steve Sipple, and that's the takeaway here.
You did.
I did not scare away.
I didn't know
he
Sip
just-
gets
he just-
angry.
He just said on the text, we have to discuss what the future of me coming on the show is.
Really?
Yeah.
We've heard that before.
Well, okay. All right. So we'll be the only radio show in Nebraska that does not have Steve Sipple on.
Damn.
That is not a text.
This
I
is
was
like
just
the end of
saying. I
Friday
didn't do
Night Lights. You
anything.
just
There
take
was no beef. There was zero beef.
Apparently, there was a.
I feel like
triple
my
burger.
appearance on your show was compromised. I was very uncomfortable. Other people asked me about it, and I don't want to be put in that situation.
Please respect my decision.
I feel like you're reading a fake text right now.
After
there is
praying over
no
it.
way that this is a real text message.
Don't hold this against me. We're good. You understand. I hope you do.
Friends for life. And then
This is
included
no
included the
From
Katniss
what?
Everdeen
because I
like
asked him
meme.
about CJ Brano.
I don't know.
I don't know what the beef is.
I just remember I had to come in on the white horse and save you, or it would have got very uncomfortable. And now it's gotten it's gotten very awkward.
We were just talking about the Nebraska secondary.
Gosh dang it!
I mean,
first Bigelow,
you can
now Sipple.
Hey, you can ask George Darlington. I mean, you start talking about the Nebraska secondary, things get a little sideways.
There's no way that is actual text.
How would you like me to respond to
that? Matt apologizes. Please come on.
Matt's going to take you to Applebee's for lunch.
If Matt offended you, I'm sorry.
That's a good. They put that on your resume. You're the only person that's ever gotten Sip upset they didn't do a show.
No. For what? I don't even know what happened.
I don't know. I'm just catching strays here.
I have no clue what happened. I just asked him about CJ Brano. I wanted to talk about Danny Odom with him today.
Should have asked about Barry Odom. Dave Odom.
Well,
Barry's more relevant than Dave.
These are just Odoms. Lamar, any Odom.
I don't know if he wants to answer about Lamar Odom.
Sip is a big basketball fan.
He'd be on right now if you had asked him about Lamar Odom.
He would.
Hey, did Lamar did he get snubbed in the All-Star game in 2013 for Blake Griffin?
That's a good question.
They really thought in Keeping Up with the Kardashians that Lamar was going to be an All-Star.
I don't know how to respond.
I
don't know how to respond.
I kind of feel for you.
Tell him I'm sorry and come on.
I wouldn't want to be in your shoes right now. You're kind of caught in the middle.
I am. I don't know what to
Caught
do.
in the middle of what? What were we caught in the middle of?
This kerfluffle.
There was no kerfuffle. We had a great interview after I asked him about cornerbacks.
Well, I mean, that's something to brag about. There you go.
I'm not going to brag about it. Sipple and I are very good friends.
You have your moment.
I just got his number 2 weeks ago. I didn't have his number, and I got his number on my phone. We said we were going to hang out sometime.
Well, he's apparently not very happy.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Sip DM me.
Please. McDonald's breakfast. You and Sip.
Sip's been coming on. Sip was the first guest we ever had on the show when I started here.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I did.
Might have to shut her down after this and go home and think about it.
I do not know what I did. I don't even remember I asked him, why don't you think it's a big deal?
I don't know. I'm caught in the middle. I'm not really sure what to do.
Yeah, you're in a tough spot.
I am in a really tough spot. It's very, very confused.
Well, you were the promoter. Shouldn't you know what's going on in between
I didn't know
two opponents?
I didn't know that Sip was going to say, I'm out. Thanks. I mean, now I got to save him. I don't know if it's all a 1620 or just this show.
Yeah, we may have to do a group text to the other shows because I don't know.
I mean, what do they say?
Yeah.
If
Josh and Nick are listening right now in the producer's office, you might have to reach out to
Once again,
Sip
if you were to ask me, what did I do? I don't know what I did. I literally don't know what I did.
I don't know. It'd be nice for him to come on and he can explain what you did and then just explain it and then he can hang up and then it's done.
Yeah.
Instead of all the speculation that are out there.
You get
no
closure.
idea what's going on.
Like a relationship. Yeah. Poll's up now on our Twitter. Will Sip ever come on our show again or did Matt anger him?
All right. I was going to ask him a good question, too.
Maybe I can answer
it. I'll try.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. What's your question?
Well, I don't know. I think it's kind of like angled towards Sipple. Yeah, it's more where like I'd get the Sipple answer.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the best idea for me to do a Sipple impression right now.
Playing the role of Steve Sipple today would be Matt McMaster.
You might be better jumping into a discussion about The Naked Gun. And how this might be the unfunniest movie ever with Liam Neeson.
Damn it.
I saw the commercials. I don't know what the appeal is. Have you seen Accountant yet?
I have not.
Come on, man.
Sports just ended.
This is like Billy Haywood starting Wedman.
Sports just ended.
We can connect. We can talk about a movie we've both seen. We never get to do that together.
I mean, just think if you could connect with Sipple. He'd be on the show right now.
I would love to connect with Sipple. Sipple and I have been connecting the minute I started in this media corps.
But you ruined the connection.
How did I ruin the connection?
I don't know. People are saying, I understand Sip's position.
What is Sip's position?
I get it. If Matt doesn't understand why he angered Sip so much, either listen to Sip's show the morning after he was on with you guys or go back and listen to the segment.
I actually almost did go back and listen to the segment.
I don't know what's going on. I don't really. How did I anger him? What did I do?
I don't know. So we'll have to find
that'd be a simple question.
A new guest for
again
Thursdays.
I think this is all a play here. This is all a work right now. I just don't think he's answering.
This is work. We're at our jobs.
No, like a pro wrestling work.
No.
You know, this is a classic. This is really good from a promoter standpoint. For
Gary,
you,
I'll get to
because
thinking
now
on
next
Thursday
week
and
when Sipple comes on, it'll be even bigger.
be on one of the other shows. I don't know if they'll ask him about it.
I don't know, but let me tell you a heartwarming story after this very, very sad moment of the show, the history of all the morning shows. Hell, he even came on with Michael and Damon. Now he's done doing mornings.
There's no way he's done doing mornings. He just says he's just
That's
not
true.
on
I mean,
today.
Happer, they could have him on at like 11 something.
Yeah.
Can I see the text message?
You want to see his phone? That's rude.
I'm doing some business on my phone, so I can't give it to you right now.
You can't show me the text message?
Show it to you later. Well, I read it to you.
Can you show it's on your can I see it right now? Did you just flip me the camera?
Yeah, I read it there. There you go. You saw it?
No, I didn't. I did not see it. I did not see it. You are such a liar.
Just sad.
You are such a liar.
I'm the middleman here.
You are the promoter. This is great.
Middleman.
Bobby the Brain Heaton, Paul Heyman,
Okay.
I overcame an
Gary
almost
Sharp.
life-threatening infection
So,
for this.
Don King, and Gary Sharp. Handshake me.
I stopped by a local convenience store yesterday because I had a hankering for a drink.
Okay. Okay. Grapes.
I'm going to tell you, this is a heartwarming story.
Okay.
Ooh.
We have one vote already. We have 4 votes already. It's 50-50. You got people behind your
Ooh.
back.
You said ooh like you got an actual text from Sipple there.
No, he like you know, like where sometimes you'll text back and forth with people and they leave it open ended and you don't know, okay, is the conversation over or should I just respond?
Sure.
I think this was probably finality. So I mean, what am I going to say? I can't change his opinion.
You didn't show me the text.
Send him the meme of Judd Nelson
show me
walking
the text,
off
and you
at the end of
flashed me the camera, and I didn't see anything.
Well, you got to read quicker. So heartwarming story here, which could have been worse. And, you know, people that are impatient, sometimes you have to understand. So I'm at the convenience store the other day, and there's this gentleman in front of me, and we are both going, not for the same thing, but we are going for something that is in that same area after he opens the door. And the guy starts rifling through the Coke bottles.
Like looking for a name?
He was looking for a name.
Okay.
But I kind of thought that's what he was doing.
Okay.
But there was another person that wanted to get into the
lower extremities.
No, the area, the next one over.
Okay.
All right. So the way he was positioned, you couldn't get in there.
Sure. I like where this is going.
And this guy was like seriously, like he was at the library going through the cards. Okay.
Like you're at the comic book shop and you're looking for certain comics.
The card catalog.
He really threw Coke bottles? It's that important?
Yeah. So he knew that now we have a third person that's waiting. We're there. Okay. All right.
He's backing up the line.
And this guy is like, he's touching all of them.
Yeah.
And he's looking through all of them.
We got to make sure they're cold.
He turns around. So he finally gets one. And he turns around. He's got this huge smile on his face. I think I kind of knew what he was doing. But there's 3 people standing there. One kind of knew what he was doing. The other 2 were in a hurry. And he goes, I have been looking for this bottle. And he shows us the bottle. And he goes, I have all of my grandkids now on Coke bottles. And
That's great.
I thought, oh.
How about that?
What was
this other guy? The other guy that was waiting next to me? Went right in, grabbed what he needed, and kept it moving.
This one's for Buddy.
Did you go, oh, and then he just went in there? Or did you give him a head nod? You got to give him a head nod.
No, because the first time that Coke did your name on the bottle, like a few years ago, I looked for my name. This guy was going through like everything. He goes, and I heard him tell the person at the counter. He goes, it's been like a 3-week quest.
Oh wow!
To try and find
I thought it'd
this
be
particular, and it was like a normal name. It was like, I don't know, Mary or something like that.
I thought it'd be like a 3-year quest.
No. And I said, I'm glad you have happiness because Sip doesn't have happiness with the show.
I found happiness last Christmas when we were cleaning out the garage, and I found one of those OG Polar Bear Coca-Cola cans. You remember you would go to the movie theater and you always saw those awesome Santa-based Coca-Cola ads. I found one of those bottles that was still in our garage, and it's now like it's in my room. It's like a collector's item. Like we'll never forget. Like that is like pure nostalgia, where you have like the polar bears there, and I think there was one that had Santa on it too.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
those are cool.
The whole crew.
God.
All the guys.
We don't do Christmas like we used to.
We don't do life like we used to.
What do you mean we don't do Christmas like we used to?
I don't know. I just
like when
he's trying to wait, hold on. I got stuff to support that. Give me a minute.
Like when Jesus was born, or what?
It's just. I feel like you could.
Let's go back to the beginning.
You could just say a blanket statement of "We don't do this like we used to," and everyone will shake their head and be like, "Yeah, we really don't."
It's good thing that manger
wasn't. It's just a nostalgia thing, for me. Like Christmas has become nostalgia because I don't, It's just I'm not as involved in the activities anymore. Christmas used to be about me.
You don't live in your parents' basement anymore. You have like a real life. And
I know, and I
and
have to like buy presents for people and like save up for Christmas presents and like
just go to the promotions closet. We have
and
stuff.
It's like I loved it when Christmas was about me, and now it's about my little cousins. And I kind of envy them.
Jimmy, I got very nostalgic here just thinking about some of the funnier moments and the drops that we have as Sipple being on the show.
I did not cause Sipple to not come on the show.
We built it up like it was going to be round 2, and he said...
We built it up. You built it up.
No,
I had nothing to do with this. I was not...
Except for last Thursday when we talked to him, you had all of it to do.
I just asked him about a recruit that decommitted.
Remember that one time, Jimmy, when Sip was on? And I think it was like we had to adjust him. He was like on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
He was really, really funny. Yeah.
No, honestly, I was questioning my life for a little bit, and then Sip was on. I was like, you know what? I can't leave this place. It's great.
From here on out, whenever I bring up a memory of anybody, you're going to be like, do you know who was really funny? Or do you know who did that really well? Steve Sipple.
Remember when Sip had his Omaha face on? And come on. Yeah. Miss you, Sip. We had a great run.
What? I feel like a what?
A penguin.
Yeah. Those are the kind of moments we used to have, but now we will not have them anymore because of what you did to Sip.
I didn't do anything to Sip. There was nothing I did to Sip. All I asked Sip was, hey, you're not worried about CJ Branaugh decommitting? And then he goes, no, not at all. It's like he's back.
Yeah.
Why are those Sip drops so clear? They're like so smooth.
Well, all this stuff used to be new once upon a time. It was like our cars. They smelled like new car. And
used to be Sip coming on the show was like a new breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to have to find somebody else.
It was like walking into a Subway for the first time. Denny down there?
No, he's not related to me, Ryan. Back to you.
All right. We'll see if Brian Edwards will come on the show.
Oh, God. I hope
you praised him. You praised him because he won you some money, so I think he'll come on.
I think we're in a good standing, okay. Brian Edwards and I. Right. I thought Sipple and I were in a good standing.
Well, then there was last Thursday.
I thought we were in a great standing.
Wow. Probably would have been a better interview if the College World Series was going on. But we had that day off on Thursday.
Ooh.
Just think if we would have had a game, you would have probably already been gone.
And we wouldn't have had that moment.
We wouldn't have had that moment, and Sip would still be a regular guest on the show.
Yeah. That's like a sliding doors theory.
What if in Gary and Matt history?
What if the ball doesn't go through Buckner's legs?
Are you telling me that me having beef with Sipple that's been cultivated by you two is like Buckner missing the
what if Mark Andrews doesn't fumble out of the end zone? What if Dez caught it? I already said they lost in Seattle.
Sip, I miss you, man. I don't have any beef with you.
What if the clock runs out in Jerry's world?
What if they thrown a damn flag when Crouch almost got decapitated?
What if there wouldn't have been an onside kick?
What if Parkey made it?
What if they get the 2-pointer at the OB?
What if Romo doesn't fumble the ball? What if Dez catches the ball?
Probably Sipple would still be on the show.
What if Ray Allen steps out of bounds?
What if the pass interference is called against New Orleans and LA Rams?
I don't know if that would have affected Sip. He didn't really care.
He didn't really care about that?
What if Scott Norwood made the damn kick?
What if you would not have challenged his manhood?
I did not challenge his manhood. I just challenged his questionable take.
It's a tough day.
If you wouldn't have said those things about his dog.
I didn't. I didn't say a word about his dog.
What if
First you kick my pregnant wife, and then you say something about Bullet?
About his passion for Cheddar's.
Is Cheddar's a restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah. Brian Edwards will join us next. Thanks, Sip. It's been a good run.
We love you.
Appreciate you.
Pour one out.
Come back.
Talk to you next Thursday at 9:15.
Gary and Matt, brought to you by AGR Roofing and Construction. Go to agrroofingandconstruction.com. We bring in the man, the myth, the legend, the Vegas insider, Mr. Brian Edwards. We're BE. You are the man. I called you a bit of a sicko with the TJ McConnell parlay, but thank you very much. We went ahead. We cashed it over on points, over on assist. I believe I put 20 down and I won 56 on it. So thank you, my man. That was a hell of a bet from you.
Good. It was better late than never. He went over his point prop every single game of the series, which I didn't even realize. I think I didn't get on it until I want to say game 5, I think. Or, I know what it was. My accounts weren't even offering it.
Really?
And they started offering it. Yeah. But, well, some of my accounts aren't as don't have as many props available as others.
Sure. But, hey, so we're going to transition here because we know we're done. We're in the weird season, right, of sports. We don't have the football anymore. We don't have the basketball, no more playoff hockey. We're kind of just into the dog days of where it's mainly just MLB and when is Caitlin Clark playing. But UFC.
He's out with a groin injury.
Again?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah, I just said that.
UFC in full swing. It's been a bit of a down year, Brian. I mean, make no bones about it. There just hasn't been the superstar power that we've had in the past, and especially with John Jones retiring. But I think that if we're looking at cards,
retiring for now.
I mean, I can't. Just real quick before we get to your bets, how do they not get him a super fight before he retired? Like, how do they fail to do that? That's crazy to me.
He's just ducking Aspinall. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Hey, so this is a great card, though. UFC 317, Poirier versus Charles Oliveira for the lightweight title belt. And then under it, I think is, one of the most underrated weight classes in the UFC, the flyweight title belt. Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Kara-France. These guys have been in that flyweight division, dominating the flyweight division for a while. And then you got Dariush, he's fighting Moicano. You got Talbot against Lima. You also got Terrence McKinney's fighting, where he's trying to get back on track. A lot of different plays and a really good card you can make here, Brian. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I think Moicano is my favorite pick.
Okay.
Love Moicano. He was on a 4-fight winning streak with finishes over Jalen Turner and Benoit Saint Denis. And then UFC 311 happened and Sarukian fell off the card. So on one day notice, he moved up to face Makhachev and, lost in the first round. But, no shame there. His previous loss was 2022 against Dos Anjos, Rafael Dos Anjos, another former lightweight champion. So, and he won his 2 before that. So he's 6-0 his last 6 fights against current or former lightweight champion.
Yeah.
And Dariush, it's been struggle bust for him since that long winning streak. He's lost back-to-back, been knocked out in the first round of both. I like Moicano minus 110 at a lot of books.
And then for the main event here, it seems like this is a bit of a coronation for Topuria, potentially. He's been on top of the mountain. He's the closest thing we have toward a superstar, in my opinion, in the UFC. He's taken on a guy in Dubrox who he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest lightweight fighters of all time. This is going to be one hell of a fight. Are you leaning the hype with Topuria? Or are you going to go ahead and say, no, Oliveira, he's been the lightweight guy, I'm going to roll with him?
No, I'm going to roll with Topuria. Now, he has 8 career submissions and 6 career knockouts. So I wanted to do inside the distance, but that is minus 275. That's too expensive.
Yeah.
I decided to go with the prop for him to win by KO, which is minus 150. So I'm going to risk 1.5 units to win 1 unit on Topuria to win by KO. I'm also going to risk a half unit on him to win specifically in round 2, which at FanDuel is a plus 410 payout. So if you risk a half unit, you win 2.05 units. And I know what I was going to say. FanDuel's plus 410. Most of the other books are plus 300 to plus 325. So it might not be as good a payout as the FanDuel, but those are my 2 plays. 1 unit, or risking 1.5 to win 1 on him to win by KO, and then risking a half unit to hopefully win more than 2 units on Topuria to win specifically in round 2.
And then one guy that I brought up that you like here, and it's Terrence McKinney. And man, I feel like for the last couple of years we've been kind of waiting for T-Rex to just
burst on and be the next lightweight contender, be the next potential superstar. He's winner of 3 of his last 4 fights. He has 16 wins and 16 finishes or something like that. I mean, he's an absolute electric factory. I know you like him, and then you got a little bit of a parlay, right?
Yeah, so a 3-leg parlay with McKinney, Moicano, and Taporia. Depending on what odds you get, it should be, if you get the plus 410 at FanDuel, it should be around plus 267. But if it's more like plus 300. Oh wait, no. What am I talking about? That's for the prop.
Yeah.
Never mind on that. Yeah. So I knew what it was.
Sure.
Taporia is minus 425 at DraftKings,
Mm-hmm.
and he's minus 500 in a lot of other places. So if you get the minus 425, it should be plus 266 on the 3-legger. But if you get minus 500, it's probably going to be plus 230, plus 240 range. But that's fine with me. So Moicano, McKinney, and Taporia, 3-leg parlay.
Okay. And all within no props on that. All just to win, right?
Yeah. All just straight bets to win the fight. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some college football because Phil Steele has made it into your hands. There is a team in the Big Ten that a lot of people are wondering what it's going to look like this year. Indiana, their win total is 8.5. They went to the playoff last year. Their schedule isn't bad. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult in conference than it was last year. But 8.5 wins is tricky for Indiana. Over or under?
I'm going to go over. Now, they had only won 9 twice ever going into last year.
Crazy.
And they win 11 last year. So, not buying low here by any stretch, but there was nothing fluky about last year. And so, I understand people thinking there's going to be a regression, but they only had, 10 of their 11 wins were by 14 points or more. Their net yardage on the season was plus 2,211. So what's changed? Well, the schedule, it's a little bit tougher, but not a lot tougher.
Yeah.
You lose Ohio State, but you add at Penn State instead of Ohio State. So it's just a guaranteed L pretty much again. And then you add at Oregon. Okay, I've got those as 2 for sure losses.
Yeah.
But then you look at the rest of the schedule, and really I have them all wins except for 2 swing games, Illinois at home and at Iowa. And you only got to get one of those.
Yeah,
and
good point.
I think they'll get one of those. They're favored by 3 against Illinois at home on games of the year. And at Iowa, there's no line. But do y'all see them getting clipped in any other game?
No.
I mean, not the first 3 at home.
No. I've been on this bandwagon, Brian, in terms of this over of 8.5, because you got to remember too, I don't think people realize they're returning a lot of all conference guys. They're returning a lot of production.
Oh yeah.
And on top of that, you can make the argument that their quarterback is better this year than it was last year. And their quarterback last year was pretty damn good.
Yeah. I mean, Phil Steele's national unit rankings have every position group except for D-line in the top 28. Every position group is in the top 28 except for D-line, which is number 41. And like you said, Mendoza, who knows? I don't know that he'll have a 29-5 TDI-NT ratio like Rourke did, but Mendoza's a really good quarterback, and he might be as good or better than Rourke. And they did well in the portal. They have the number 22 transfer specific portal class. They got 23 transfers, 14 from Power 4 programs, 3 4-star guys. And they brought back a lot of their studs. They've got, 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got 5 of their top 7 tacklers back from a defense that only gave up 15.6 points per game. And the other thing on the 8.5, you're getting plus money.
Yeah.
You're getting plus money to take the over.
That'll be, Indiana, Illinois will be a monster game. September 20th, the Big Ten will rule Nebraska, Michigan, and then that game in Bloomington.
Yep.
Hey, we'll next week we'll send you a list of teams that we can discuss now that you
sure.
are doing all your prep. We'll do that next Thursday.
Sounds great, guys. Have a great weekend.
That's Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com.
We got a phone call during the interview from Steve Sipple.
What did he say?
Well, he says he wanted to extend heartfelt apologies and really just hammer home the point that Matt did not anger him.
Thank you.
He was
Thank you.
He was called into an impromptu meeting at the ticket, and he was just walking
Can't
out. But he
believe you
felt
did that.
so passionate to call and make sure that everyone out there in Radioland
See?
know, and on Twitter, even maybe putting out a tweet that he is not mad at it.
You see, thank you. Sipple
The
knows.
votes
Sipple and
would-
I are boys.
Well,
we're guys.
there are about
we're
60%
dudes.
though that say he won't come on. So
We are compadres. We are mano y mano. We like margaritas and Bob Seger. All right, you can never take that away from us.
That's cool. I mean, I get that because he said to Jimmy, he goes, "Hey, you tell Mark that we're not beefing."
Me?
I was like,
Yeah.
Mark, you mean
Yeah.
Mike?
That
Matt?
makes sense.
He
Yeah.
knows who I am. He knows my name.
I think
You're
he-
trying.
I think
You
he-
had me worried for a second. I thought for a second that he actually was mad at me. I felt terrible.
Well, wait till next week. That'll be a new one. All right.
We still gotta go down. We still gotta throw down though.
He even said he'd come on tomorrow.
Oh, all right. We'll find a way to get him on tomorrow.
We'll do it.
All right. That'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. We'll also have two more pairs of tickets to give away to Adam Sandler, who will be in
Heck yeah.
concert, be performing.
And you don't need to be a
October
Cowboys fan. That was a
21st.
coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of-
sure.
A lot of shenanigans on this show.
Sure.
Also, to all the day tours out there, some have the 92 percenters. We have the day tours. Good luck to you as the NBA draft happens at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Crossovers coming up next.